Halloween
Forever.
Hey, Stephen, my boy, how are you on this fine, brisk autumn eve?
I am super good because, goddamn, it's starting to get cold. It's been 60 degrees just during the day. Oh, that just strangely, that warms my heart when it's cold.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I've been sleeping with an actual blanket. You know, I just been, oh, God, I love it. I love when that fall kicks off. I'm actually going to Las Vegas this weekend. It's supposed to be 101 degrees, so I'm going to miss this beautiful autumn weekend. But, Steve, speaking of fall and autumn, and we're feeling spooky-ooky in here this evening, got a little quick question for you.
Uh-huh.
Why do you figure that ghosts can't impregnate people?
Why can't ghosts impregnate people?
Yeah. I mean, and it is strictly biological. There is a biological reason why they cannot impregnate people.
Ah, man. Because, I mean, they don't have the balls is like, it's not funny and not clever.
You're going in the right direction. You're going in the right direction.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't get there. I can't make it.
Steven, it's because they have Halloweenies.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Boys and ghouls, to our spooky October Showdown episode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
And I'm Steve.
Hey, Steve, shh, don't look.
I'm not
Are
looking.
you looking at me? Maintain eye contact. Do not turn around.
I wasn't allowed to look last episode.
There's a damn Sam Squanch right by. Wait, no, it's not. That's not a Sam Squanch. That's our good old friend, Bigfoot Ben, aka Big Top Ben.
It's me, Big Top, Big Clown, and maybe this episode is it Big Ween for Halloween? Can it be
If
Big
you want
Ween?
to be Big Ween Ben?
Big Ween
Yeah.
Ben?
Big Ween Ben.
Yeah, I do.
You have been here the last two Halloween showdowns, so we've got Big Top Ben,
it's an honor.
aka Bigfoot Ben, aka Big Top Ben, aka Big Ween Ben, our good old buddy, our favorite guest coming on here to.
Great to be back.
Yeah.
It's great to be back, everybody.
We love having you. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank
Drink
you.
some beers with us. Talk about
Always.
some fucking spooky ass movies.
Yeah.
Was the last time you were on here? No, you've been on here since last Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were we on here last time? What were we
I forget
talking about? I
why.
can't remember what we were talking about though.
He's
I
been
don't
on.
know.
He's been
I don't know.
on other showdowns, and he got to.
Yeah.
I believe last showdown he got to pick his own movie.
Yeah, and didn't you didn't you
know.
pick man, I don't remember what the topic was, but didn't you pick what's the one about the guy who gets electrocuted and then didn't you pick that one or somebody else picked that one for you? Shocker.
No, that wasn't even him. That was Matt.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Matt picked Shocker.
From Decaying with the Boys.
Yeah, that was Matt from Decaying with the Boys. I'm trying to remember Showdown episodes.
No,
where
it
we
was
had guests.
I believe it was the clown showdown because
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why my name is still Big Top
Yeah.
Ben.
Big Top Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe he got to pick.
Yeah, it was a
I
clown
believe
showdown.
he got to pick his own movie that time. And still
Yeah,
didn't
and
win.
it was-
But
No. Not even close.
Well,
We'll see. My odds this week aren't bad. I'm kind of excited about
they're
it.
better than mine. And what Steve's talking about here is, guys, we're here for a motherfucking slobber knocker. It's a barn burner this evening. We got our October Showdown episode. And for all of our lovely and loyal fans of the podcast, every October Showdown, we do some sort of weird little spinny Wheel O Ween situation where instead of us picking a topic, we pick a movie associated with it. We have a whole bunch of movies on a wheel, and then we land on one. We get stuck with that movie, and we got to defend it to the best of our ability. The last 2 years, we've done the Wheel O Ween, wherein we got like 100 damn movies that take place around Halloween or that sort of thing, or Halloween theme, whatever. And so we did not pick these movies. However, we must defend them with our lives in this no holds barred Falls Count Anywhere Extreme Rules cage match that we got on the docket for this evening. But before we do that, boys and girls, we got a couple other things we got to do at the top of the show. If you like this here podcast, if you want to check us out on the internet, you want to get updates when we got new episodes, spoiler alert, it's every goddamn Monday. We have sticky, sweet, yummy, spicy content on the internet. But if you want to just see some other spooky shit, you want to interact with us on the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the Twitters and that sort of thing, go follow us. It's at Halloween is Forever or some variation on that. Search it. Little pixelated orange pumpkin guy Steve made. You'll find that. Now, why don't we go around the horn and talk about what beers we might be sipping on tonight? First of all, I do need to call out Ben. Fucking strong shirt game tonight. Strong shirt game. So festive. It's got a little, I can see a little pumpkin. Is that a ghost or is that a little black cat? Or that's an owl.
There's an owl. There's a pumpkin. There's another orange pumpkin. There's a witch. I found this. I got this off the Instagram targeted ad last year, and don't regret it one bit.
I got by a couple of them ads, couple 2-3 times too. There's some. They got all the best spooky stuff.
Yes, they do.
What are you drinking on over there? Is it something that perhaps goes along with that fancy shirt?
It's a little spooky. It's a little. I mean, it's certainly dark, and I don't know. I saw this, and I thought of Steve when I picked it up. It's a little tamer than what he would be normally into, but some Cocacino from Hitchhiker.
Oh, okay.
And that is a porter with coconut coffee and milk sugar with cacao nibs and vanilla beans. So it's nice. It's sweet. You know me, I really love to drink on these things, so I thought maybe the porter would kind of slow me down a little bit, but chances are it won't because I fill the rest of my cooler with 6 Bell's Two Hearted ales.
Hell yeah.
So,
that'll get after you.
Let's go.
Hey, that Cocacino isn't, it's not full gas, but you know, it's leaning on it. It's a little heavy. It's a little heavy footed.
It's a little heavy. I feel like I'll pace myself a little bit better, just a little bit. But not
I think last year's episode we went long. We went like 3+ hours, and by the end we were hammered.
Like
guys.
four bathroom breaks in there.
Yeah.
I was just sloshed.
Yeah, we were getting after it. Steven, what are you drinking on over there? Are you going full send on some fucking gloop glop over there?
So it is gloop glop, but it's not a full send because I'm actually cutting alcohol. I in my fridge, I still had a bunch of those bum ass Dunkin' spiked hard coffees.
Oh no.
But I just don't like drinking them. So what I did find though, going around the Eagle as one does.
Yeah. And
we're just in time. I saw the Eagle. They had some of those Starbucks fucking PSLs in the jar. It's the shit jar.
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to have my first PSL. Going to do it on the show, but I'm also going to cut it against that Dunkin' shit bum ass spiked coffee. And so now I have Dunkin'. I've mixed in an abomination. I've mixed Dunkin' and Starbucks.
I'm not even concerned with the brand equity getting diluted by pouring them together. I think that looks like some sort of curdled chocolate milk in that glass.
It's not curdled at all. No. It's just
something about the color, the way it changed when you held it up with the effects in the background looks gnarly.
Yeah, I mean, it looks much better. It looks just like Yoo-hoo, here at home. But yeah, I can understand why it would be off-putting. It's not the best flavor, but it's better than where the Dunkin' started, and it has a little pumpkin in it. So there we go.
Okay. All right. Well, festive enough. I am on my last vestige of the Oktoberfest before I go full into pumpkin ales. I'm drinking a couple different Oktoberfests here. I'm just finishing up one here. Little straight up. I've been drinking some Von Trapp, but some straight up Von Trapp Oktoberfest over here. And then my go-to for the season, oftentimes, but especially in terms of Oktoberfest this year, is once again the Sierra Nevada
Absolutely.
Oktoberfest. The Gutman collab is so fucking tremendously good.
So
I
good.
had to pick up one last 6-pack of that, and then I'm on to exclusively spooky beers. Like I said, I'm going to Las Vegas, Nevada tomorrow. Going to be there all weekend and come back on Monday. We're going out for that Joe Bob's Jamboree out there, a spooky movie festival out there in Las Vegas. So I'm sure we're going to be getting after a whole fuckload of pumpkin beers this weekend. So I'll get my fill. All right, guys. One more thing. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. And also, fuck you, where you been? If you're not new and you've been listening to a couple 2-3 episodes, or maybe you listen for years and years and years, 100 episodes, you say, guys, I really like this podcast. I wish I could listen to these douchebags talk a little bit more. Here's how you do it. You go over to patreon.com/Halloween is forever. You can sign up for our Patreon. We get a bunch of great stuff. Steve's doing a 31 days of Halloween write-up right now. A lot of fun bonus stuff in October. But some of them other good things that you get to come over and get the opportunity to visit with us live as we record this here podcast. Join us here in the chat. To Discord, you can interact with us as we record, do a little comments, do a little hey he he hoo ha ha, a little laughing, all whatever you want to do. Cavort with us in the Discord. Also, you get a bonus podcast every single month, Patreon exclusive podcast of our current series we're doing. It's called Youth Group is Forever. I'm making Steve watch a bunch of weird fucking right-wing propaganda Christian horror movies that basically try to fearmonger, scare you into saying you're going to go to hell, and here's why. They're fucking terrible, but it's fun to talk about and make fun of them. You also get our last series wherein Steve, where my pick is in retribution to this, Steve made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies, and I don't know which is worse, weird Christian propaganda horror movies or Fast and the Furious. I would say they're inexplicably linked, but he made me do that. It sucks shit. You get all those episodes too, and they're a lot of fun. So go over on to patreon.com/Halloween is forever and support your boys. $5 a month, you get all kind of fun stuff. Anything else before we jump into these son of a bitchin' movies, guys? I'm excited.
I'm ready.
I guess we're just down to Big Ween Ben. Actually, he gets to pick the order that we present them because technically neither Brian or I won last month's Showdown.
That is correct. The Patreon fans, the movie they picked for the topic did beat us both. So technically the honors go to Ben to determine the order in which we talk about the movies. Guys, real quick, let's tell let's remind for folks who are listening at home and following along at home what each one of us, which each one of our movies are that we'll be talking about. Ben, why don't you tell them what you'll be talking about?
This is from me. You will be getting 2009 Halloween 2, directed by Bobbert Zombie.
Ooh, Biggie Boppy Zombo coming out of the woodwork. Steve, what are you going to be talking about?
I have 2023's Dark Harvest.
Dark Harvest. You sure do. And coming up the rear, boys, this is what happens sometimes with the Halloween. And we've determined, we think perhaps this year, the Wheel O Ween might be haunted. Because I don't know how this got on there. Nobody will own up to it. But I ended up drawing a movie called Baron von Laugho's Halloween Spook-a-thon from 2016, which was buried in the deep, deep nether regions of Tubi, and that's where it belongs. I won't lie. There was elements of it that I enjoyed. It's not as bad as I'm making it out to be, but I'm in trouble.
Yeah. You are in trouble. But do you think this was a Meg from Beyond the Grave, which is why nobody will own up to it?
That's who's haunting it. The Wheel O Ween is haunted by the ghost of Meg, the horse girl. And you know what? It makes sense because Ben drew a horse girl movie too.
He did.
Yeah, I did. Plenty of horses in mine.
Oh, that makes total sense because Ben lost last year based on a bum-ass pick off the Wheel O Ween. Yeah. And then now this year he gets horse girl movie while Brian gets cursed with doo-doo.
Yeah. This sounds a lot right. We're going to have to do a seance at some point here and bring Meg back from the grave in October and ask her questions about how she orchestrated all this.
That would be fun.
Let's also remind our guests at home that whoever takes home that son of a bitch and championship strap takes that belt, slaps it over their shoulder, and carries it up the ramp at the end of this episode also gets to pick a punishment episode, or I'm sorry, a punishment movie for next episode. That, we'll keep that in the back of your head. All right, Ben, what do you think about this here order?
The order shall be: Brian will be going first.
Okay.
Big Ween Ben, will be going second. Steve will be going last.
Okay. All right. I like that. We're going to get mine up out of the way because, like I said, your boy might be in trouble. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But you know what? I'm going to try my best to really highlight the parts about this movie that I liked. So once again, will be discussing and attempting to defend from the year of our Lord 2016, Baron von Laugho's Halloween Spook-a-thon. This is directed, written, and in some capacity starring all the same people, primarily Jeff Everhart and Dylan R. Nix. These are certainly some, small-time independent filmmakers. So this is by no stretch of the imagination. They are human beings as far as I'm concerned. These are not famous filmmakers, right? These are small-time independent filmmakers. This is the type of stuff when you're plumbing the depths of Tubi, you will come across from time to time. I'm not saying this is fish piss, but it's not terrifically far off.
It gets close.
You forget Fish Piss. Fish Piss was barely a movie.
I don't forget Fish Piss. And I will tell you, there is a good solid 15 minutes of this film that are basically Fish Piss minus all the fun tractor stuff.
So this is an anthology, and the quality of the anthologies vary from unbelievably bad to all right. So that's kind of where they're at. There's a couple of them that I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. But yeah, so not much in the way of credits. These aren't filmmakers that you're necessarily familiar with, but they made a movie, and God bless them for it. The runtime on this is just over an hour. So again, this is a labor of love type of project. Nobody was getting rich on this, nor was there a significant budget for it. But I also call this DIY how to make an anthology over the weekend. It felt like a summer project, you know what I mean, for a group of friends, which fine. We get this little intro that what we're supposed to be watching is a VHS taped from TV, from local TV from 1979. And it talks about how the recording of it happened during the recording of this, or the filming of this, that did, I guess, broadcast live in some capacity. And then that's where this was taped from, I guess, or maybe somebody got a hold of the tape from the local station or whatever. But a character named Baron von Laugho, who's I would say somewhere between Svengoolie and
Krusty the Clown.
Krusty the Clown, sure. I was trying to think of what was the one on WGN in the mornings, the actual clown show from back when we were kids. Chicago. Bozo. I couldn't think of Bozo. Yeah. So this is somewhere between Bozo or Krusty. His laugh's certainly more Krusty like.
Brian, I think you're a dead ringer for him.
You think so?
If you put that outfit on and you trimmed up that little handlebar mustache of yours, oh my God,
I could pull it off. I think I could probably pull it off. Sure,
absolutely.
It's ultimately that's my career path right now. So they discuss that this gentleman, this character Baron von Laugho, is the I guess several members of the crew were murdered, and he was the prime suspect, and he was at large or whatever. Okay, spooky. I wrote down right off the bat, I was like 5 minutes, and I was like, I want to like this. I was trying, but it became tough at parts. The first one, it's called That's No Bear, is difficult to watch. I would say the novelty, if there is some associated with this, felt like it was supposed to be that this was a one-man film. I believe it was shot, written, directed, starring, everything, one single guy. There is, that's not true. There is a second character in it, but barely. But it was really, for the vast majority of this segment, it was just one single guy. But there is so much padding. There is literally like 5 minutes of an hour-long movie that is just landscape shots of like trees swaying. There's a lot of filler. Ultimately, we get, I'll spare you all of that, obviously, but ultimately we get this old Bubba, and he's up in the hunting blind. And then we get about 5 minutes of him looking out through the hole in the hunting blind. And it's getting old real quick. Eventually,
I thought it was going to be a Sasquatch. I thought it was going to be a Bigfoot thing. Really,
I thought it was going to be. I did too. I thought it was going to be a damn Sam Squanch or something came out of there. Yeah. A dang old what do they call him? Dang skunk ape. But
yeah,
actually, it's not. Unfortunately, it's somewhat dumber than that. Mitchell and Sam get to chatting, and Mitchell is the guy who, you know, we're watching. He's the Bubba that's out hunting, and then his buddy Sam. Or did I get those mixed up? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
some folks got eaten by bears. Apparently, they're like scared about it, but it's like, aren't you hunting? You're literally standing there with a gun. Like,
you just kill them.
Anyway, you can only look at so much woods footage. Like I was kind of losing my mind, losing interest really early on. This was really by far the worst segment, and they started out with it, which was rough.
That was confusing on my part, because I will admit, like the following two segments are a little better. This is a rough ask of the audience to sit them through just a bunch of filler establishing shots and nature footage of nothing happening. Like I have it in my notes, literally 15 minutes until something happens in an hour-long film, and that's fucking bonkers.
It's not even, and when you're saying something happens, you're not meaning like a major plot development. You're like any single thing happening.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. Here's what I think they were doing, because you get Bubba reading a book. And then he's like, "Oh yeah." First of all, Bubba ain't reading a book. He's watching dash cam videos in his trailer. Stop acting like you're going to sit there reading a dang book. You're going to be watching mukbangs on your burner phone. You know, you're not reading.
I'd be doing.
Yeah, but here's the I think what they were trying to do is, because it's very quiet and peaceful, and they're like trying to lure you into this, like just pull you into a lull. And then all of a sudden you get this like out of nowhere, help me scream at the top of your lungs. So it's this little like jump scare. So I think that's what they were trying to do, but man, they really milked it. And then he goes outside to see what's going on. Doesn't get his rifle. Give me a fucking break. He also just built a big fire outside and then just went inside to read, which was strange.
Left the fire unattended. Not supposed to do that.
Yeah. And then he goes outside. He sees like a naked version of himself with sharp teeth, like in the flashlight beam, I guess.
Trying to figure out who that was. Him.
Yeah. And then he runs inside, and then someone comes from the other side of his trailer doing like a Michael Myers situation with like the blanket over his head, pulls his gun, no bullets, claws, literal rubber claws coming out from underneath the blanket. And then he wakes up, and Mitch that's the other guy that we talked to earlier, or he talked to earlier, has him like subdued and paralyzed or something. The audio at this point is horrifying. It's like skipping. You can barely understand what they're saying, but apparently his buddy is like a famous hunter that like hunts all around the world, and he's hunted the best game across the world. Yeah, first of all, you're 28, and second of all, you live in your parents' garage, and you're not traveling the world hunting for the most dangerous game. Apparently, his buddy was a werewolf the whole time, and he wants to hunt werewolf. Cool. And then there's a werewolf head on the wall, so he apparently hunted his buddy. Dun, dun, dun. But he didn't really, because he just broke into his house and paralyzed him. That's it. That's that segment.
That's all.
It's rough. It's rough. It took a long time.
I gotta say though, that audio, it was shocking to me that this movie came out in 2016, and we're not even watching the 2016 version. We're actually watching a fixed up 2018 version.
Sure.
Because that's in the credits at the end. Because they're like, I guess they thank some people for extra funding to like redo the film a little bit in 2018, and it's like, okay, whatever. But they play kind of that VCR tracking audio, degradation sound effect, and it blows out every other audio. And like in this scene where the guy is talking to the camera, they also have audio of the friend on the table overlaid, and none of the audios are matching. And it is the most difficult thing to listen to. It's awful. It's terrible. And then this isn't the first time it happens. And I'm fucking livid.
Yeah, it happens a bunch in the next segment.
Still.
Too. So we get the little interstitial wraparound, right, for the anthology. It's the Baron, and he's making eel brain stew, and he does some trick-or-treat safety lessons, and he suggests that you should, like, murder people and that don't give out candy and burn their houses down and stuff. So just a little cute, whatever, little interstitial there. Now we get into the second part of the anthology, the second segment, which is called The Carvers, which was kind of clever and, not horribly poorly executed. I will say all of these, each one of these is 20-ish, between 15 and 20 minutes. They all should have been like the length of like a sketch, you know what I mean? And they would have played a lot better if they were like a sketch length. They really couldn't stand their own as like short films. There was a lot of filler involved, but The Carvers was kind of cute. You've got Carver, and I should say it is played out like a 50s, early 60s sitcom, right? Black and white sitcom with a laugh track and the corny domestic family settings and all this stuff. But the dad is some sort of psychotic, deformed serial killer that has like a weird half human, half pumpkin for a head with like stapled together lips. And he's just like a freakish pumpkin head guy. But otherwise, he's dressed like your normal mid-century dad, right? So you have Karve. They call him Karve. His wife, the kids, all that. His daughter is Kara. So it's like Kara Carver, Kyle Carver, So it's all kind of silly. But she's in trouble because she wants to be out late with her boyfriend. There's all this setup nonsense. A bunch of gags with laugh tracks and all that stuff. Then we get a couple pretty wacky ass commercials, which were kind of fun.
Oh God, my favorite.
We have one called the Monster Max is the product, and it's sanitary napkins, which they refer to as, which nobody calls them that anymore, but they refer to them as period pads. Which I thought was really funny because that sounds more like puppy pads. You know what I mean? It sounds like you're house training a dog. So it's pretty derogatory, obviously. But the whole idea is like,
so bad. Yeah,
it's like women when they're on their period, they turn into a monster. This one will help you not. Yeah, women are the fucking worst. That's like the gag. Don't definitely
be a slave to that bloody beast.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that's one of the lines. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very dumb, but whatever. I
do like when the actress just slaps it into her pants. Like at the end, she just, they kind of give up all pretense of it trying to be, that 50s era, like coy and demure of what they're talking about. And then it's just like a monster lady just pulling open the front of her pants and slapping the pad down in. It's like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, they're all really bought in on the gag. You know, they're leaning in, so it's kind of fun. But anyway, you get the idea. Like the son's like a psycho, like he killed the neighbor's dog or something. Anyway, most of the gags are just like they say something about something the daughter's doing, and then Karve, who's reading the paper, just makes some sort of head gesture and like flops his paper up and down. Ultimately, Kara sneaks out to Lover's Lagoon with her boyfriend. Maybe the least convincing day for night I've ever seen.
Oh god,
it's pretty rough. But she's got like a greaser boyfriend who what's going to happen, but the Carver, her dad, ultimately murders the greaser boyfriend while he's pissing. But here's the right turn. This is going to happen. Is he's going to stab him, and he does. He stabs him with like a machete or whatever. Okay, I get the gag. Then he cuts his dick off and jams in his mouth. I was like, whoa. It just went
somehow I missed that the first time I watched it. I must have been out of the room, and I rewatched it again today. And I was so happy that I picked that up the second time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's clearly just like a drubber dick. It's like a dildo that they bought at like it's humongous. They bought it at like the porn shop or on Amazon or something. And,
very assumptive to you to think that they bought it and didn't just have it.
It was used, you're suggesting? Could be. That's guerrilla filmmaking. Cuts in his dick off, jams it in his mouth, and then you're like, oh, the daughter's gonna be upset. She comes out, he's got blood all over. She's like, you killed him. That's okay. I didn't like him anyway. Let's go home and be a family. And then that's it. And then like the kid says something about he killed another pet or something. That's the end. So like I said, if it was a 5-minute sketch or a 4-minute sketch, it would have landed a lot better. But it was a decidedly better segment than the first one. You got to admit that.
I did want to point out when Kyle comes in to deliver his final line, the final exchange between him and his mom about killing the neighborhood animals. He does walk into the house, and whatever blade he's holding, he does give it the haktua and spit on that thing.
He spit on that thing, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He, like I said, the people in this one are a little bit more equipped for their roles, I'll say. Like they're delivering lines okay. But now we get another interstitial here with the Baron. He's doing some like, again, slightly creepy Svengoolie bits, basically with like a skeleton. That's it. Then we get the Murderos commercial, which was kind of fun. It's a cereal. There was really just one line that stuck with me and did make me like laugh out loud. It's a brief little commercial where you've got I don't know, I forget if it's a mom or it's a like a big sister, but she's like, hey, Billy or whatever is, I'm just making that up. Hey Billy, what do you want for breakfast? He's like, I'll have Murderos. And she's like, are you sure? Maybe something else? And he's like, no, I want Murderos. And she goes, how about a lemon? He's like, no, Murderos. But she offers him a lemon. I don't know why that just tickled me. Ultimately, he kills her. That's the whole thing. Hey, the cereal that makes kids murder people or something. Yeah. All right. Now we get what is easily the best one of the three, in my opinion. However, it drags. This would have been great if it was, again, 7 minutes. This one could have maybe been 7 minutes, but it really, really, really drags. And we have this babysitter giving out candy on Halloween night to trick-or-treaters. This weird, like, Christian evangelical door-to-door proselytizing guy shows up. He's a little fucking weird. He's being overly friendly and goofy. His name's Damien. That's a watch out. Funny, weird and funny at first, because he is actually a decent performer.
Yeah.
I do believe he's a decent performer. He's delivering lines. He's got a character. He's got it worked out. He's executing it well. He's delivering lines well. He's being creepy, if not a little cartoonish, but that's what the scene's calling for. The bit where he eats the entire pack of Smarties at once. I actually thought that was really funny. I don't even meant to be funny, but it tickled me because he's like, "Can I have a piece of candy?"
That's how I ate them in grade school. Did you guys not? Did you eat them one at a time?
I didn't eat Smarties because I'm not a fucking moron. But I
please.
Sorry,
I heard the candy you guys were talking about last week, and don't talk shit on Smarties, please.
No, I don't mind a Smartie. No, I definitely would eat several at a time. I'm sure I did the whole thing in my mouth at once, but. The funny thing about the way he does it is he eats them all at once, but then he like is just chewing and chewing and chewing, and we're watching this all in real time,
just crunching very loudly.
And then he goes, "It's a lot of pieces. It's a lot of pieces of candy for one piece of candy." He just
yeah. He's shocked that there was so much candy that he just jammed into his own mouth. It is probably my favorite bit of the entire hour that I've been subjected to. I like and like you were saying, like he does have like his character worked out and everything because his hair is slicked down. He looks greasy. He looks unpleasant. They also do the best job at framing him. There are some times when they can't even do a close-up correctly when they're filming, but they do their best job at framing him for whatever reason because they have it like at a low angle cut up at him, so he's imposing and he has that air of authority to him, but then also at the same time looks like a car salesman sleaze.
Yeah, and he quickly gets into his whole Jesus and devil business, right? So you know what he's about. And then she talks about how she had like a bad priest when she was a kid, and he's just kind of goofed up, right? Like he says that he's like speaks to God, and he's got like special connection with God, and he wants to save her soul. So you start to get the idea that like, oh, he's up to no good. And you're kind of feeling for her. Like she's being overly nice and she's scared to like tell him to fuck off or whatever. Then she's like, can you have a glass of water? Goes and gets him a glass of water, brings him back. First of all, Batman Forever mug. Love that from McDonald's. I have that mug downstairs.
Wow.
Yeah. I have that mug. And he chugs the water. We watch him chug a whole like little mug of water in real time. You see Sarah has like scars from like presumably like a suicide attempt. So you're like, oh, like she's had like a rough life or something. He's like kind of going to prey on that, I guess. But this is where the dialogue's just going on way, way too long. You're like, God damn it. Like, let's get to the point here. It's dragging. They do have this little moment where she's like, yeah, you know, I want to be a better like Christian or whatever. And he like accepts his, to save her soul or whatever. So she kind of is like, in this almost like tears of joy type of thing. But then he delivers this line, does it in a pretty good way. It's a creepy line. He's like, now are you ready to transcend, Sarah? And he's like kind of smiling, but he's doing a good job of communicating that there's like some gravity to what he's saying or some consequences, I guess. And then they like pan down and he's grabbing something like at his crotch. And I was like, is that a weapon? Is that his dick? I guess it was his dick, right?
I'd say dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was so dark and grainy, you really couldn't tell. I actually rewound it. I'm like, I still don't know what that is. Is that his dick through his pants? I think it's his dick.
He's just two hand squeezing at it. He's just like,
yeah, it's just I guess it just was a weird move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, not to say this whole thing isn't a weird move, but so then we cut to Sarah and she's tied up. You know, they're in like a barn. She's tied up in her underwear on a table. So you're like, he's up to no good for sure now. So he gives her some
definitely now. Yeah.
Now at first I was really giving the benefit of the doubt. Now, nope, I'm out.
All right.
As soon as he pulled out the belly jelly, I was like, no, sorry. He does, and I don't know why, but he does pull like what appears to be a big bowl of jelly or preserves of some sort. I'm not sure what it is.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was supposed to be like blood or some sort of bodily fluid that was like coagulated. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it just looked, I'm pretty sure it was just a dangle bowl of jelly.
Yeah.
But he just rubs it on her belly. I thought he was going to give her an awful waffle for a second. And just didn't have maple syrup. So he was going to get the tennis racket. And instead of using the maple syrup, he was going to use the jelly. But then things get real rapey, right? He drops his drawers and he's talking about how he's going to impregnate her with, I don't know, Jesus's baby or something. I'm not sure. But then we get this crazy, like psychedelic cut sequence with like bleeding Bibles and all types of wacky shit. Jesus with like his dick out, and it's pretty rad. I'm to be honest with you, like I was on board. And
it was like
I don't
babies.
think I even saw Jesus had his dick out. Dang it.
You didn't even see these with the dick. Yeah, there's Jesus. He's got like his cloak, and you look down, he's got a hole cut in his cloak and his dick's out.
Oh,
I think they repurposed that same dildo. It was not a real dick, but
yeah. It was it was like baby's first experimental film. I have something to say against the church, and then here we go. And it's like, yeah, Jesus, he gives out freely, but like he has his dick out because he's a rapist. Everybody in the church is a rapist. And then fast cut, and it looks kind of like a Soundgarden music video. And fast cut.
It was. I thought it was a little bit fun because everything was a little silly up to this point, and then it did that, and then you got Jesus and the eyes bleeding and all this stuff. Anyway, she wakes up. Sarah, it was a dream. Oh, okay. Goes in the bathroom, splashes some water in her face, and starts doing a prayer. And you start to realize it's a demonic prayer to ward off God and evil Jesus freaks, basically. And then she looks up, smiling in the mirror, and you get this like deep, like red, creepy red effect. And Satan is sitting there, pretty good Satan, certainly
really
associated, in comparison to what we've seen up to this point, with his hand on her shoulder, and she's kind of smiling like, "Hey, you're my dude," and that's it. So. Then you get the last wrap up of the interstitial, and it's, the producer gets into it with the Baron. He bites his throat out. Then he like goes after the cameraman, and then we cut into like he's murdered everyone, and then he does this little like outro to the kids, and it's like, okay, fine. So that's it. That's the whole damn thing. It's only an hour long. Was it good? No. Was it watchable? Barely.
Sometimes.
Parts of it.
Sometimes it was.
Did I hate it? No, not necessarily. I thought it was,
No,
again, it's one of those things, labor of love, and you're like, hey, fun stuff, guys. You went out, you made a movie. I still maintain light years better than fish piss. Hey, you did it, guys. You did it.
They did. It was fun.
I'll say it's better than fish piss simply because it does offer a lot more different things within the hour. Like fish piss is all about fish piss, whereas at least this is an anthology and it gives you a little bit more, and it gives you that kind of fun, super cut up sequence, and it gives you the silly commercials. But for this being made in 2016 with all of the free software and all the cameras you have, it is unexcusable for anything to be this bad. There is a part in the Carvers when they are filming with using the audio from the camera, so you can't hear any of the actors. Yeah, you can't hear any of the actors. And then when the one actor goes to the couch to sit with Mr. Carver, they try to pan the camera and they bump it, and you hear the bump in the microphone because they bump the onboard camera. They bump the onboard mic that they're using for their master audio. I'm going to shoot myself if I see somebody do that.
Yeah, I get it. It just reminded me of the movies it would have been like a movie me and my friends would have made. You know what I mean?
Sure.
When we were in high school.
These are adults, Brian.
Yeah, I get it. Fine. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying I'm going to win. I'm not even asking you to vote.
Nope.
I'm just saying, don't be mean to these poor boys. They're just trying to make a spooky movie.
They're just some good old Florida boys trying to make spooky movies.
Just a couple good old bubbas trying to make a movie.
Typing that title into Tubi was exhausting. It is. I don't have the voice to speech thing, and my God, did that take a long time. Oh man.
Yeah, it was buried. It was buried down in the belly of Tubi. Anyway, all right, that was it. I won't belabor it. I ain't gonna win. That's okay.
Okay. I got one more question. I just have one more question before we move on. So Baron von Laugho is obviously a clown, and we already made mention how, like we were talking about, there's Bigfoots, but then there's skunk apes, which are Florida Bigfoots.
Florida-based, correct.
Is Baron von Laugho kind of his own like Florida-based juggalo? Like, is there a different name for that?
That sounds. I would assume what % of juggalos are already from Florida? It's a little redundant to say Florida juggalo. That's what I'm saying.
True.
But the way I'm thinking about it is you got to be from like the Midwest, specifically Detroit, to be a true juggalo, much the same way Champagne is. So like even though there may be a lot of Florida juggalos, because they're not from Detroit, you have to call them something else. Like they're the mezcal or sparkling wine of juggalos. So I just wonder, maybe our audience can help us out with that. Is there a specific name for Florida juggalos or juggalos outside of the Midwest area?
Yeah. Like I imagine even within Florida, even though juggalos might be specifically from Detroit, I would say Florida is like the Northern California of juggalos.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's the Napa and Sonoma valleys. Yeah.
Right. Like there is people can look at a photo or probably do it by smell and tell the difference between a Tallahassee juggalo and a Jacksonville juggalo just by blindfolded. You can tell.
Orlando juggalo reeks a little different.
Tallahassee Juggalo is definitely going to be a gamer tag of mine.
That's such a cool name, actually. Tallahassee Juggalo.
That's a drink. We need to invent a shot that's called the Tallahassee Juggalo.
It's either a shot or it's the name of like an Old West character. Like that's an Old West gunslinger. Tallahassee Juggalo.
Yeah. I think what it is what you do is you do a bong rip. And then you do a shot of nail polish remover mixed with marshmallow fluff, and then you exhale. That's a Tallahassee juggalo.
Oh no, you got to incorporate the new Galaxy gas, Brian. That's part of it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So
you take you take a bong rip, take a rip of the Galaxy gas, lick the marshmallow fluff off your hands, blow a fucking rail. No, the juggalos don't have Coke money. No. Snort some meth. Then you do the shot of the rubbing alcohol. Then you exhale the gas and the weed.
Yep.
And then you wake up in a helicopter.
You shotgun a monster.
All right. Well, like I said, that was it. We did it. We got it out of the way. So, Ben, you're going to go next, and it's time. It's time, boys and ghouls. This is
the realest movie we had in this lineup.
It is real as fuck.
This was in a theater at one point. I don't know.
It was. I saw it there.
I saw it. I seen it.
Yeah,
I seen it. I was there. I seen it. Yeah. Halloween 2 : The Revenge of the White Trash Horse Girl.
If we could just ignore every part that the horse and the girl, if she was, if we could just ignore that, they would. I did like the movie a lot. It was kind of nice for me to watch it with an eye that I have to take notes about and try and defend it against two other things. I appreciated a little bit more, but I also understood why a lot of people didn't like it, why it didn't get really great reviews in the theaters. And I'm not that super familiar with the rest of the Halloween movies, but I can certainly see why this was not up to snuff.
Yeah,
to the,
I am
ones.
painfully familiar with every single movie in the franchise. And this is probably at least the 6th time I've seen this. And I will say it is far from the worst movie in the franchise. And some people will say it is, but it is far from the worst movie in the franchise.
Yeah.
Halloween as a franchise, it's my favorite franchise, but it has the highest highs and the lowest lows of any of the major franchises. And this isn't great, but it's not the worst. It might not even close to the worst, in my opinion.
No, it's not the worst, but I had this kind of the same reaction as Ben because I probably haven't seen it since it came out. Maybe it wasn't my favorite at the time. I was pretty annoyed with it, actually, I believe. But rewatching it, I was able to appreciate a lot of the things that are good in it. And I think that's just because of years of like all the other Halloween films being bad. And now we've also gone through the David Gordon Green trilogy. And it's like, there's a good horror movie in this. And you would have to detach it from Michael Myers in Halloween completely for it to like really excel as a good horror movie. But yeah, I don't know. It's because they tied too much into the Halloween mythos, it feels off.
I love painful violence and gore, and this had it for me. Like there were so many parts in this movie where it just looked like, man, that would hurt so bad, and that car crash looked so painful, and that bone break. Oh my God! That sucked.
Yeah. This is I again, I've watched this movie at least 6 times, maybe more. And I will say this is the brutality of this movie always surprises me, I think, every time. Not it surprises me, but I'm always reminded of like, oh man, this what's the guy's name? What's the guy who plays Michael Myers? I don't have it up right now.
Tyler Mane.
He's a wrestler. Tyler Mane. Tyler Mane is the Mark McGuire of stabbing. Like he just like he swings for the fucking fences, dude. Every single one. He stabs more violently than any movie character I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like in real life, it would just go through a person into the ground onto the other side. You would be stuck in the floor beyond them.
Yeah, I guess that's probably like you could probably attribute that to him being a pro wrestler, and that like he knows how to throw a good fake punch. He adapted that into knowing how to throw a good fake stab. I did have a note though that I believe it's when he's stabbing Octavia Spencer, the nurse.
Oh boy, yeah.
When he's stabbing her, he has a moment where he does a little windmill. And I was like, is he doing a tribute to Dusty Rhodes in the middle of murdering a woman? Because
he's a showman.
Yeah.
Every movie should have a wrestler. Hire a wrestler in every movie you do, please.
Honestly, they have something to bring to the table in every movie you could find.
Yeah, agreed. Whether it's stunts or just, man, just cutting a promo in the middle of the movie. I mean, they're going to bring something to the party.
They will. Okay, so we know, I mean, we've a lot of us have seen this. I'll go through the setup pretty quick. I mean, it opens up really early. It's a child, Michael Myers, in the sanitarium. His mom's talking to him. His mom has the white horse there, and I forget what they exactly refer to, but the white horse we're going to see that white horse again.
It's all about like Michael's childhood and like his connection to his mom. And then you kind of, after a while, I kind of like, as many times I've seen this, I don't know that I fully understand still what they were going for, but
no, I tried so hard. I couldn't either.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is the cast is fucking great in this movie. All except for, unfortunately, probably the main heroine. She made some really difficult decisions that did not benefit her character, which is Scout Taylor Compton, who played Laurie Strode, aka and I guess aka perhaps, I don't know, we can get to that, Angel Myers. She, part of this is Rob Zombie's directing and his style, because there's always a character who acts like this in every one of his movies. Lots of characters that act like this. He has a way of injecting a degree of like white trash rock and roll douchebag into characters in every one of his movies. And most of the time I can it can remain palatable. In this movie is probably the biggest example of a character that becomes almost impossible to watch, and you can't root for her because you I don't want to say you want terrible things to happen to her, but you're so unlikable.
You don't care.
It becomes difficult to watch, and you certainly aren't rooting for her. And honestly, I think it's the biggest downfall in the movie. I hate to like put that much on one performance, but it's really fucking terrible.
Yeah, I'm more willing to kind of put that on Zombie's directing and writing. I have long held the belief that Rob Zombie needs a writing partner, or just a full-on different writer that exists outside of his world, because it's so many of his choices. I mean, we already talked about it, like the inscrutability of the white horse metaphor, and then all like how this film just devolves into this psychedelic weirdness. And if he just had a writer to keep him on track, to make sure all the threads connected properly, instead of being bubblegummed to get together, you might be able to, feel more for the character of Laurie Strode, or more properly appreciate her turn.
I don't even dislike her turn as much as this is going to sound, I don't mean for this to sound like, I don't know, kind of sexist or something like that, but like the woohoo girl kind of voice that she does, and the like whininess of her inflection is really grating for me. It becomes really, really grating. And I've heard a million people say that. And again, I don't want to, maybe I'm bunching myself in with a bunch of, fucking chauvinist douchebag, like kind of toxic horror nerds. But man, her voice fucking is like nails on a chalkboard to me.
It may literally just be she hits a certain register that bothers you like a dog. And like, because I don't completely hate her performance. I don't love everything about it, but it like her. If we're talking specifically her voice register and everything, it doesn't bother me as much. So but I can see.
I never thought of it either.
I can see how for other people's ears, because she spends so much time screaming and being obnoxious, how that would really off-put a lot of people.
It's not even the register as much as like the baby talk, like the infantilizing of herself kind of thing, where she's trying to like talk like a cutesy baby, like I'm a sexy rock and roll baby, and then just like, what are you fucking doing? Just talk like a regular adult. The other women even the other women who she works with and are friends with are like, have some really insufferable lines. And I wrote down some of them, like, oh, so-and-so's too coolio for schoolio. That's maybe the cringiest line I've ever heard in my life. But even that, I was like, okay, that didn't make me want to drink bleach coming from that person, because they're delivering it just like a hipster of the whatever era this was supposed to be, right? Because sometimes it feels like it's like the late 70s, but then sometimes it feels like it's the mid 90s. But anyway,
it's so funny that like Danielle Harris, who caught a lot of shit from Halloween 4, 5, and 6, she gets kind of redemption from this film because she's far from the worst.
She's the sister. Is she the sister?
Yeah, she's
the
Annie Brackett.
Okay,
She's
Yes.
Brackett.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Annie. Which they're supposed to be.
I always had a.
Are they supposed to be related in this? Are they?
No,
you know?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
No.
Because I was like, because they were
Her
talking
dad
about when
is
they're
the cop.
Yeah, Annie Brackett's a cop, but then we were talking about we sit down as a family. They kept referring to themselves as like a family, like Lori was like a family member.
Yeah.
And I was like, are they
I think
related?
It's hypothetical.
Yeah, it's like she's adopted because at this point,
that's fine.
you know, she has nobody else because everybody else is
her
fucking
parents
dead.
is dead, and right. I didn't know if it was like they were supposed to be cousins or something. I don't know.
No.
Cousins in like this white trash town. But anyway, yeah, she's fantastic, and she's actually fantastic in fucking all the Halloween movies. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
love her.
Yeah.
Right.
Like she Danielle Harris is one of the best performers in the entire franchise.
Yes.
Anyway,
I agree.
but getting back to my issue is it's the, like I said, it's the weird infantilizing thing that and like whininess that kind of kills me. But aside from that, fantastic cast. I mean, obviously, there's like I try to go through and count them up, but it's like there are Emmy Award winners, multiple Golden Globe winners and nominees. There's a Grammy Award winner in this movie, guys. It's Weird Al. He was in there for 5 seconds.
Yeah, right.
But like, there's a lot of extremely talented people in this movie, plus Jeff Daniel Phillips, plus Richard Brake, plus Brad Dourif. All three of those people are fantastic, and I maintain that Jeff Daniel Phillips and Richard Brake were hatched out of the same egg, and I was like, why would you have? I feel like Jeff Daniel Phillips has a job because he's a Richard Brake type, and if they can't get Richard Brake, you get Jeff Daniel Phillips. And then I read that is exactly what happened. Apparently, the producers in this movie, first of all, this is produced by the Weinsteins. So like the Weinsteins apparently were a nightmare to deal with. And that's part of the reason why, production was a nightmare and the movie didn't turn out the way apparently Rob Zombie wanted it to, is because fucking the Weinstein brothers were meddling in everything and micromanaging. But apparently even one of the other producers, Richard Brake, had some sort of issue with. Richard Brake is the cop that is screaming, that doesn't die on impact. Well, Richard Brake was supposed to be the bouncer at the strip club that Jeff Daniel Phillips is. But he had some sort of issue with one of the producers and like left the set early, and they gave it to Jeff Daniel Phillips because Jeff Daniel Phillips is also later in the like party scene. He's the like kind of count guy who's up on stage telling jokes and stuff.
Oh, he was like the MC kind of thing.
And they brought him back to shoot him as the bouncer because Richard Brake, bailed on that part.
Gotcha.
But anyway, great. Long story short, fucking great cast. Malcolm McDowell. I mean, come on.
I just wanted to ask, was it Richard's big break?
No, come on. He was in stuff before this. And also, how dare you? Give me shit about my puns at the top of the show, and you did that. You paused and interrupted us to deliver that. Jeez,
yes,
right.
I did. Yes.
All right, Ben. Sorry, I'm going to shut up. I'm just building a case for why this movie doesn't suck.
We don't at this point. I don't think we even need to go through this chronologically. I mean, everyone here knows what happened. Everyone listening to this probably knows what happens and how it happens. I think we can just talk about some of the really good scenes. The hospital obviously is fantastic. I mean, that was, I love that. That's probably my favorite part of the whole movie. And from what I understand, right? I mean, that's a recreation of just another scene from a Halloween movie, correct?
Yeah. So the second Halloween movie in the original franchise and timeline, takes place almost entirely in a hospital. So this was certainly an homage.
Okay,
to
that's
that.
like
and later on, I mean, we get Halloween. Halloween Kills, a big portion of that's in a hospital. So, but the second the first Halloween 2 in 1982, I think.
I think
almost
so. Yeah.
entirely set. Yeah, almost entirely set in a hospital. So Michael Myers in a hospital is like his natural environment to a certain extent.
That's his bread and butter.
Yeah, I will say this also. I know we talked horses. Is this the best cow-related death in horror? The accident, the ambulamps
Had to be.
accident.
I would have to go do some digging because, I mean, are you saying cow-related accident or just death?
Somebody has to die, but it could be an accident. I know there's been some
There's
tornado
been a few cows
movies where cows come into play. Twister, notably.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody dies in that scene though.
Yeah, I was just saying, did it have to be a vehicle accident? Because I believe there's something cow-related in Slither that's pretty gruesome.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, yes. I believe you're right. That is, yeah. If I'm remembering what you're talking, I think there is a cow-related death. I'm remembering a cow scene.
Yeah, I think Rooker splits a cow in Slither. I'd have to. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I think there's some pretty gruesome cow stuff in Slither.
There's some alien movies. I think some alien movies that have some pretty fucked up cow stuff, or at least comical, silly. Like, isn't Mars
Jurassic
Attack?
Park has some fucked up cow stuff.
There is. Well, that's a goat.
Is there
a cow in that? That's a goat.
No, that's a cow. They drop a cow in the Velociraptors.
Yeah, but you don't see it.
Yes.
You don't see it.
No, you don't see it.
Come on.
No, you just hear it rustling around and all that.
That's pretty disturbing for me. That fucked me up.
Sometimes your brain can tell a better picture than they do on screen.
That's right.
Here's my ultimate argument that I just want you guys to keep in mind as we continue discussing this movie. This movie is no worse than the original Halloween 2.
Sure.
I maintain that. People,
I like that idea.
Whenever I see the list of people ranking all the Halloween movies, and they put Halloween 1 first, obviously everybody puts the original Halloween first. If you don't, you're just being a weird fucking edgelord. But if you put, a lot of people put the original Halloween 2 second. It just because that's one of the original. Holy shit, that is like among the worst movies in the franchise. I believe there's like 2 good scenes. There's a couple of iconic images and maybe 2 good scenes. And I dare you to go back and rewatch Halloween 2. It fucking blows. Dick Warlock is good as Michael Myers. Fine. He does a good job. He doesn't have the same look at all as Castle, but he does okay. He does his own thing, and that's fine. But holy shit, are there big parts of that movie that are fucking boring. It's not good. Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2 is not good. It's not good. So I just want to put that out there. I just want to put that out there in the world. I love the Halloween franchise more than any other franchise, but the original Halloween 2 is fucking bad.
I would be willing to bet Rob Zombie doesn't completely disagree with you, which is why he only recreates like the hospital scene, which is the good parts of Halloween 2. He acknowledges that, recreates that, but then also just makes it a dream sequence and says,
"Yeah, man, that's rough. It's hard to defend that."
I hated that.
The waking up from a dream and the constant dream hallucination, screaming, having fits is like, good Lord, it becomes kind of rough.
So let's do like a little character synopsis now. So Michael he's technically like a drifter. He is kind of just living in the woods, right? I mean, just kind of wandering around, living kind of, we find out later kind of his home base is like a shack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he escaped. He escaped after the events of the first movie, and now he's just he's on the road, on the open road.
Loomis has now become a author. He has one book that has already made him kind of famous, and kind of halfway through this movie, he releases another book, and that book is what eventually leads to Laurie Strode finding out that is. She finds out that she is Michael Myers' long lost sister. And that's kind of like a big part of this movie where kind of no one takes that very well. Everyone's very upset. Laurie's upset. Michael's upset. Sheriff Brackett's upset.
Yeah.
Everyone's mad.
Everybody's PO'd about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I would like to discuss briefly the structure, perhaps is the best way to say it, of the event that Loomis goes to like participate in when he goes and he has the picture outside. He's being a diva and he's like, give me a cup of PG tips and all that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
I wrote it as he goes to his symposium / book signing / press conference / speaking engagement ?
Yeah.
But there's no speech. He shows up. It sounds like it's going to be like a book signing. Like people who are fans of him are coming, but for some reason it's all press. He walks up on stage after a big screen behind him, like this big intro. Like this isn't a Barnes and Noble. This is like a small theater. Then he walks in, stands at the podium and goes, does anybody have any questions?
And
usually somebody does a speech.
That was weird.
Yeah, somebody does a speech and then you open it up to questions. But no, not in this instance.
Hey, that sounds like an easy speech to me. Just answer questions.
You know who I am and you know why we're here.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing here's what it made me feel like. Rob Zombie is a filmmaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
As well as a musician. And he doesn't know how book things work. So Bobby Zombo, when he goes and speaks at a thing, it's after his movie is shown. And then he walks up and goes, anybody have any questions? Now we do Q&A with the director.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize that that's not how books work. You don't go up, read your entire book and go, any questions?
Bob Zombie is a lot of things. I don't know that he's an academic. And
yeah,
Dr. Loomis would have been an academic and would have had, like a more standard presentation of like, I'm going to explain to you why Michael Myers is evil. And here he is evil. And then he was evil because of his mother. Yeah. Right. Any questions?
Yeah. No, just walk up, applause, open it up to questions. I like Malcolm McDowell, obviously tremendous, I would say legendary actor. I do not like him as Loomis. I mean, part of it, I will admit that part of it is Donald Pleasance as Loomis, as Dr. Sam Loomis in his run is one of my favorite film characters of all time.
Yeah.
So no one can be Loomis to me besides Donald Pleasance, but Malcolm McDowell.
But even from my perspective, who I didn't even really care about the old Loomis at all, but I don't like this Loomis either. Like he is just he somehow has managed to lose all credibility to me, and he didn't even have credibility in the first place.
It's so funny because in Halloween 2018, that doctor that they have there is far more connected to this Loomis than any other character, because I like the idea of a character being a complete slime, but it's just, again, nobody wants to divorce Donald Pleasance and his character arc of just being this obsessive weirdo who may or may not be correct about Michael Myers being the embodiment of evil. Nobody wants to divorce that because it is kind of the Batman and Joker, interplay of those two characters for that franchise. Whereas Loomis is more or less disconnected. He's just pumping. He's just pumping lore for money. It's
weird because the thing about Loomis and the Pleasance Loomis is, even as he becomes more and more unhinged in the later sequels, his drive, his motivation is always extremely earnest, even at his own peril. He does not care. He is about, at first it's more like, keeping people away from Michael because he tried to help him for 15 years and he finally came to terms with the fact that he couldn't be helped and he's just pure evil. Then he's got to understand him and keep him locked up and all stuff, but it's always, he's never out for himself.
No.
He's always selfless.
Right.
So and even the what's this guy who's not Loomis, but what's his name? Tarzarian or something like that.
I don't remember.
Anyway, in the later ones, he at least is obsessed and is in it for like the I guess the academic endeavor, but also just like the self satisfaction of knowing, like he's just obsessed, purely obsessed. And it just seems so out of character for Loomis to be obsessed with financial gain. It's just
right.
So money hungry.
Seems so complete antithesis of anything Loomis ever was.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's a good character. And if you could divorce this from the Halloween franchise, like that's a good character in a movie to have that gets its comeuppance later, is somebody who bilks, or somebody who's milking a monster for money. Like that's a good character to have get its comeuppance. But in the context of Halloween, it's a bad Loomis.
It is a bad Loomis. I mean, they do it better in the 2018 with the podcasters, who essentially that's what they're doing, right?
Right, yeah.
But that I think is the biggest downfall of the of the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, aside from Laurie Strode being I don't like that performance. I think it's the fact because Loomis and Laurie are the heart and soul of the whole franchise. Like people are like, oh, Michael, Michael barely fucking exists most of the time. It's Laurie and Loomis, right? That's what you're watching it for. Donald Pleasance and Jamie Lee Curtis. And when you take those two characters like and make them not likable at all, it's rough. People really crap on this movie and the first one, especially, well, both, I guess, about the idea that they're really into showing. They don't like that they showed Michael's motivation. Like, why would you show Michael's backstory and his motivation and why he does what he does? He just does it because he's pure evil and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck do you think the whole sister storyline that started in the original sequel does? That's what it just was there to try to make show Michael's motivation. Oh, it's his sister. He's obsessed with killing his sisters. It was literally the worst swing they ever took in the franchise is the thing that happened in the second movie, which is making Laurie Michael's sister. It was. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. I will rant like a motherfucker.
You
on
will
this
not
franchise.
shut up.
Yeah.
All right, so where we Loomis releases his second book. That brings us to everyone finding out who's who. Laurie is his sister. Takes us to what I feel like is probably one of the best Halloween parties I have ever seen.
Oh, it's
this
sick.
thing looks amazing. And I feel like that would be a great thing on the wheel for you guys to do, is like best Halloween scenes, like Halloween party scenes.
Halloween party scenes. Yes.
This one is sexy. It is fun. People are drunk. People are dancing. There's boobies on stage. People are hooking up. It looks fantastic.
It's just the right amount of fun, like redneck, where you've got like the fucking like, you know, the guy kind of with the kind of rockabilly sensibility up there doing his Reverend Horton Heat, you know, bit up there. And then you've got, it's just kind of dirty and nasty and sexy,
but not too dirty. Like I still want to be there really bad.
Yeah. And of course they dressed up as Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is even more fun. God.
Which I've done. I've been Frankenfurter for it was 2 Halloweens ago. I went as Frankenfurter. I feel like I remember pictures. She was a better one than me, but
yeah, I feel like I remember pictures. I have not done the whole dress up thing. I've been to a number of midnight showings of Rocky Horror, and been paddled and did the whole throw stuff at the stage and all that stuff. But I've never done the full dress up. But yes, it looks looks such a fun party. Great party scene. Yeah, the party looks great, and Michael he's on a as per usual. He's on a rampage now. One of Laurie's friends is hooking up with this part also really bothered me of this movie. She would, of all the guys in that party, that's who she picked, a short little werewolf. Little werewolf with a little werewolf. Yeah, short king and a werewolf mask. What the hell are you talking about? Stop crapping on the guy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
in that moment, she has dressed up as Frankenfurter. She has assumed the dominant personality. So, of course, she's going to take the meek short king that she finds. And even in their encounter, she's like, shut up, you're talking too much. Like, she just wants to get it on. She wants to get it in.
You sold me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's because she's in Frankenfurter character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get it now.
She's down to clown. He's down to clown.
Yeah. All right. Well, she ends up. He goes to piss. He gets killed. She gets drugged through the back van of that window, and strangled to death.
Yeah.
So that is the end of that party, and that brings us to. Are we at the red? Did we ever? No, we kind of skipped the red rabbit. Or the rabbit.
We talked about the stripper and stuff. Or we talked about the bouncer and stuff. But
yeah,
I love a great strip club scene. But yeah,
Me
not
too.
a lot.
And this was a great strip club scene.
Yeah, their deaths were particularly violent though, because like when he stomps Jeff Daniels Phillips' head in and then hangs him from the ceiling of the strip club, like
Smashed face.
That was straight out of like a Terrifier movie. Like. Both
that
the
head stomp was tremendous.
Yeah, like both the effect of stomping on the head and then the lingering shots of the mutilated, caved-in head felt like this is like proto-Terrifier shit.
Yeah, I mean Tyler Mane. Like, if you want somebody to do a stomp, again, get a pro wrestler. Dude will stomp a mud hole in you, and you'll never feel it. I mean, he's tremendous. But you can do a stomp, you can do a stab, you can take a bump if you need to. Like, come on. I'm just saying, violence. So much of the violence in this movie that feels like ultra violent is his performance. He's fantastic. He's not Michael Myers. He's Jason with a Michael Myers mask on.
Right.
But I don't give a shit. He's
That's
great.
good.
But also he's also not Jason though, because Jason is always about like being creative and bizarre and like folding people in half and then stabbing them in the dick with something and raising them up by their dick. It's just straight brutality, because it's almost always the knife or a choke slam or a stomp. Those are his three main moves. He choke
slams him before he stomps his head, stomps a mud hole in him.
Yeah, and then he choke slams the owner of the Red Rabbit as well. So like he just loves doing a choke slam. I'm sure that was his move when he was wrestling, because everybody over 6'10" fucking throws a choke slam. Everybody got one.
You got to.
So it's at this point that Michael Myers finally arrives at the it's Brackett, right? Brackett.
It's the Brackett residence, yeah.
Brackett residence, and he goes after Laurie's adopted sister, or what's
Annie.
her first name?
Annie Brackett. Yeah.
Yeah. So Michael goes after Laurie Brackett, Annie Brackett, and I just loved. I watched it again last night, and that moment when she realizes he is in that house was so cool. When she is getting ready for that shower and she turns around and you can kind of see the outline of his shoulder and arm, and she kind of like sees in the mirror and just doesn't even look in the mirror and see him, but just kind of feels something over her right shoulder and just turns, and then just doesn't like explode with fear, just kind of backs up, and we don't get. I don't think we see much of what happens here, but we see the outcome of it, and it's gruesome.
The effects later when Laurie finds her. Yeah. Did we get to the whole? We might have skipped over it, but the whole like Return to Oz Halloween snow dinner thing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
What's that part? No, what are you talking about?
It's very early when just like Michael is having this hallucination about his mother, but it's actually a Laurie dream. Because
I remember. Yeah.
And which is where it gets confusing, because it's very much about Michael and his mother, but then Laurie is laid out on this table and she's surrounded by the court of harvest or whatever the fuck a bunch of pumpkin guys are, and they're just like cheersing each other with chalices, and it's like that.
I'm just trying to block this out.
You never see it again. It never gets explained. And then she just wakes up. It, like, Rob Zombie does so much music video bullshit in this that it just...
I fucking love it. I'm a sucker for it. You could have brought that little scene with the snow and the pumpkin heads. You could have brought that back 10 times. I loved it. I was so disappointed. I remember the first time I saw them, like, oh man, this is kind of like fucking wild. They're going like the carrot, and they don't bring it back. They don't do anything with it. Here's what I've read about this movie is Rob Zombie had like an extremely bold direction he wanted to take it in. I'm not saying it would have been any better, but it would have been very, very different. And he wanted to turn it into some wacky psychedelic thing, of course. So that's where some of this stuff came from. And the fucking Weinstein brothers kept coming back in. And I guess like Akkad was like, do your thing. Go crazy. We hired you because you're going to do Rob Zombie stuff.
Sure.
And the Weinsteins, I guess, would literally like bring up clips of the first Halloween movie and to Rob Zombie and be like, be more like this.
Yeah. I'm sure
like,
they did.
Because Harvey Weinstein and Bob Weinstein are like the biggest pieces of shit morons in the fucking history of Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So they meddled in this so much that I think that's why we got little tastes of this, but not much of it. And I feel like if it was all Rob Zombie's vision, it would have had made more sense in that it would have been more congruent, I guess. But it would have been, it probably wouldn't even really felt very much like Halloween.
Yeah, which I think that would have been better, though. I think it would have been better.
I agree.
Didn't feel like Halloween, or didn't feel like they were remaking Halloween 2 from the 80s, but instead he was going his own completely wild ass direction, because you get all this weird psychic stuff, and then with the ending, like I questioned. I'm sure I questioned it when I saw it the first time, but like I watching this ending, I was like, was this supposed to be like an alternate ending, or was there supposed to be like an intention where it was more clear that Laurie was going to pick up the mantle in the next film? Like we kind of understand that at the end of this film, but it felt like there was even a possibility that Michael was a hallucination this entire film, and Laurie actually killed everybody in this film.
Laurie was the killer. Yeah, was Laurie having Michael's dreams, and was Michael's mom, Michael/Laurie's mom, Angel's mom, whatever, really the like orchestrator from beyond the grave? Because earlier Michael's like, she's like, it's a video clip of young Michael. He's like, your mom's dead. And he's like, she'll be back. I'll see her again. And he's like, no, she won't. And he's like, yeah, she will. So like my whole thing is like, was Michael's mom the orchestrator of this whole thing? And I don't know. Yeah. Was she supposed to be evil, or was it some sort of like hereditary situation?
Yeah. It even makes
bad.
It even makes sense within the structure of the film, though, that we start the film with that 20-minute flashback or dream sequence. Mm-hmm. And, Michael kills a bunch of people in the hospital. He kills Richard Brake and all that. And then we cut to Laurie waking up from that, follow the rest of that film to the shed, and everything that happens from there to the shed, you see Michael doing the kills or whatever. But when Loomis enters that shed that Laurie is supposed to be having a confrontation with Michael, if Loomis enters that shed and it's just Laurie by herself, because we see sort of that. Because we see Laura.
No one is holding her down.
Yeah. We see that no one's holding Laurie down. But if we didn't even see Big Michael either, that she, like, her mom, Little Michael, and Big Michael none of them are in that shed, and it's just Laurie by herself with the fucking mask and the knife, and then she kills Loomis. Like, that would have been so fucking... That would have whacked everybody out, because it would have been such a turn.
I really wouldn't be surprised if he... It feels like Rob Zombie would try to do something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't think he has like a fear of doing something like that. I could see that, and again, he just, like, the producers just meddled super hard. And that would also redeem so much of the, like, annoying party girl performance. It's you were trying to seem dumb and non-threatening.
Trying to convince us otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I believe that may have been an original intention, and then, like you're saying, Weinstein meddling just ruined it all. But I would have preferred to see that.
Yeah, I would have as well. This movie would have been a lot better if it was 20 to 25 minutes shorter.
It was a big one.
It just is too long, and the ending of this movie is bad. It, like, we've talked about this. A movie needs to start fast and it needs to end well. And even if it ends crazy, fine, just end memorably. Start fast and end memorably. And you can get away with a ton in the middle and still find a following in the horror genre if you start fast and end memorably. This movie, I don't think it does a terrible job of starting fast. It's not great, but the ending to this movie is just disappointing and annoying and confusing.
You saw it coming a mile away. Stupid.
Yeah.
They just kind of committed the cardinal sin with just the if you let people sit there in the theater or on their couch going like, what the fuck was that? They're gonna have a bad taste in the movie about the movie, even if it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Michael
gets shot by a sniper rifle, falls against a couple rakes, and that's all it took. We're good now. Yeah. That's it. He's dead.
Yeah. That's the other thing is, like, if in that shed, maybe Laurie's not alone, but she has like a big Michael effigy, and that's where she just stores the suit and stores the mask, when it's not Halloween, and then she just visits it or whatever. So, like, when they shoot it with the sniper rifle, sure, it goes down, but, like, it only goes down because it was just a dummy. Like, that's a good way to throw off the audience.
Yeah,
it would be.
Or
too bad.
Cult of Thorn is all in there. You go into the shed, the entire Cult of Thorn is in there, and you learn that yes, Laurie is Michael, but we are seeing what she actually turns into when she transforms werewolf style into giant Tyler Mane.
Oh yeah, like she has Incredible Hulk powers. I'm into that.
Yeah. Cult of Thorn gives her Lou Ferrigno Hulk powers.
Oh no, it's not an Incredible Hulk thing. It's they found the biggest hobo ever, and then they just transport her Michael Myers psyche into the hobo through stone rituals, through Celtic ritual, and then
through Stonehenge and computers.
Yeah,
he puts the mask on.
We bring in a little bit of 3. Yes, I like this. I like this.
Yep.
But don't even get me started on how hobos are supposed to stay big and strong while being a hobo.
Well,
do you understand how many beans you have to eat to get that much protein to be that big?
Oh my God!
How many cans of beans?
Where do you lift?
Excuse me. I believe they show us exactly how he stays big and strong.
Dogs.
Earlier in the film, exactly. Folks, he's out here. He's eating the dogs. He's eating the pets.
Yep.
Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't make the connection. He's out here. He's eating the dogs.
He's eating the dogs.
Yeah. How hasn't somebody done a GIF yet, or just a meme of Michael Myers? Because Michael Myers has a history of eating pets.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the first thing. I remember somebody. I remember years ago when we were putting together a like a list of ranking this and the franchise with the Friday the 13th franchise and whatever. But people were talking about this movie. I was reading Letterboxd reviews, and somebody was like, "It's so dumb when he eats the dog." It's just I'm like, He eats a dog in the very first movie.
Yeah.
You just don't see it. You see him strangle the dog. We don't see him. You see the legs of the dog. And then when Loomis and Brackett go upstairs and into the Meyer house, they're like, a man wouldn't do that, because they find the dog's body upstairs. Like, Loomis, like, he got hungry. Michael Myers has literally been eating dogs since the very first movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally his thing. He eats pets.
They even take the time to remind you I believe it's in Halloween Kills, where they're doing the flashback to the 70s with and I believe Jim Cummings comes across the dog carcass in the living room.
Jim Cummings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they make mention of him eating dogs in that one, just to remind you that he does it.
That he does it. He's a fucking dog eater. Isn't Jim Cummings in a movie coming up that we're excited about? That just reminded me.
I don't know of one coming up, but I did tell you about one that he was in recently, the Last Stop in Yuma County. I don't know what he has coming up, though.
Yeah. Jim Cummings. Get him in some fucking big movies. That guy's tremendous. I mean, I guess he was in Halloween. He's been in big movies, but like, I want to see some unbridled, uncut Jim Cummings. All right. Anything else on Halloween 2? Ben, I know we kind of jumped to the ending here, but
no, I think that was appropriate. I think we talked about the good stuff. We talked about the bad stuff. I think it was nice. We didn't have to do a play-by-play with that. I think a lot of us know what the plays were, and we talked about what was interesting. So there was a lot interesting about this movie.
Yeah, I don't hate this movie like people pretend to hate this movie.
You probably like it better than Dark Harvest and Baron von Laugho. Probably.
I definitely like it better than Baron von Laugho. I mean,
come on, shut up.
Look at Ben already angling for his votes.
For position.
Probably like it better than everything.
Angling for his votes. I see.
Come on, Dark Matter. Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Dark Matter.
Speaking of
Dark Harvest, sorry.
Dark Matter of Dark Harvest. Steve is going to talk about 2023's 2023, right? That was last year.
Yeah.
Dark Harvest, aka Bruce Spring. Dark Harvest. I'm not having any fun at this Dark Harvest. I've got to have a little bit of fun at this Dark Harvest. AKA Bruce Springsteen presents Something Wicked This Way Comes. All right, Steve, I'll turn it over to you.
Just before we move on, I do want to bring up Brad Dourif in Halloween 2. My very favorite line is when he is confronting Loomis before Loomis goes in the shed. And he's just going, oh, I want to fucking shoot him so bad.
I know. I love Brad Dourif. Good God.
He fucking rules.
So wonderful. Everything he's in. I just was watching. I literally was just watching Exorcist 3, like when we started recording.
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
So little, so squirrely, so aggressive all the time.
So mad. I love it.
Even though I still don't love Halloween 2, I was able to far more enjoy like his performance. And like I can just focus on him and go, God, he's so fucking great.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Dark Harvest. It is 2023 and we have director David Slade. And he is known for a lot of things, which is kind of crazy. He's done a Twilight movie. He also directed 30 Days of Night, which made more sense when I figured that out because there's a lot of great gore effects in this film that I was like, and there's some like stylized shots that I was just like, oh, wow, that doesn't seem well like placed. It doesn't seem like it's in for this film because this film feels like it's one of the Fear Street books adapted for screen.
It's a bit of a teeny bopper horror, for sure.
Yeah.
And they took not an IP, but I mean a story that was already novelized, right? And made it into a teeny bopper horror. But yeah, I mean the guy's got chops. 30 Days of Night is fantastic, underappreciated.
Yeah, that movie is so incredibly brutal. And so like that, it makes sense that like some of the violence that we get in this film is very brutal, but also it just doesn't, I don't know that it necessarily fits the theme of the film overall, because we're presented with this teeny bopper kind of 1950s throwback, which also makes you question whether or not it's actually the 1950s. Like, there's a level of,
it's weird.
Like, are we in a village situation?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it actually like 1998, 2005, but they're still living in the 50s? Because, because it's, we learn, obviously, it's this very insular culture that, like, literally people, like, aren't allowed to leave. So, yeah, it has big M. Night Shyamalan vibes. I won't jump into it, but I was going to say, like, this just feels like a movie that was, like, well funded but rushed. Is kind of what I get the feel of it. Like the voiceover and, like, the little stock footage at the beginning, I was like, wow, what a bad way to start.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it is well funded because of those things, because of the fact that I don't believe this got a theatrical release. I don't remember ever hearing about it until it came up on the wheel. So
yeah, no, it did get a theatrical release. I'm 99% sure it got a theatrical release, because I remember
$20 to see that.
I remember I read the book like 2 years before it came out, and it was just like one of those, like, impulse quick reads. Like, I was going on vacation and went and bought, like, a handful of horror books, and I ended up reading it. It was fine. It's I mean, this movie differed very much in tone from the book, but it did get a theatrical release as far as I remember, because I remember thinking, like, oh, do I want to go see that just because I saw the book, but it looks kind of dumb just because I read the book, but I don't know.
So it says it came out on October 11th last year to a limited release. So if the marketing wasn't there, there's a good chance I just didn't even see anything about it and didn't know anything about it. So yeah, because like I said, I wasn't aware of it until it came up on the wheel, and then you're like, oh, I read that book, and I was like, okay, I felt like I was missing out on something, but after watching the film, I don't know that I was.
But maybe not.
Yeah, but I think it's still an okay film. I think people should check it out. I think, you'll have a good time watching it. You can definitely throw it on the background of a party. The whole thing is, the film just doesn't play out in a meaningful way, or a way that is surprising or new. It just it feels very much like things you've seen in the past. You'll connect it instantly to, like I already mentioned, like a Fear Street or Goosebumps or like even a lesser Stephen King book. Just there is a bunch of idiosyncratic characters, and they all have these very narrow-minded view of the world, and then you have a kid who's trying to escape, as in reference to Bruce Springsteen, as Brian said. Like, it's just some young teens trying to leave town, make it their way in the big USA,
The old rust factory finally closed, and I guess Daddy lost his job and he took to drinking, so I better get in my Camaro and get out of town with my gal and plenty of handkerchiefs.
Taking my best gal down the blacktop. And I rolled up my
jeans in my arms. Yeah, and I was.
What do they say? Ain't no stop signs on the. Is it the back road?
The black road.
On the black road.
The black road.
Here in the USA.
America. Fuck yeah.
I'm pissing my pants and I'm standing in the middle of the road.
My brother's a big candy monster, and I'm going down that big black road.
Hey, little honey, I'm a candy monster.
Which it's so funny that it's so funny we're making Bruce Springsteen references, despite this film actually being full of Misfit references.
It is strange, and I need to talk about it.
We will.
Also,
I'm sure we
most
will.
of Bruce Springsteen stuff is more like this almost plays out like an early Billy Joel song or something. It's like a doo-wop era kind of thing. But it's weird. It's weird. I don't know why it's exactly placed in that setting, and that aesthetic is so prominent. It's a little bit weird.
I feel like the aesthetic
I didn't get that vibe in the book.
Yeah. I don't know. But I feel like the aesthetic for the film is important to maintain that idea of like 1950s conservatism of never moving on, never leaving the time when America was great again. So they don't like, you don't leave that time. You don't progress. You know, you still have the casual racism with, you know, like the three minorities in town. You just fucking are racist to because they're the only minorities you have. Everybody else is white.
2 other people and you.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a black girl. We got a half Mexican kid. Jimbo got a limp, so I guess that makes him a disability.
Well, and also we're going to call him kind of a mean name that's a racial slur, but not the worst name.
Not the like ones you really think about.
Like not the hard R, like the third worst name. That's how that would have happened back then.
Yeah. We're gonna drag out a slur so old that I'm just I was like, okay, you actually have to be super racist to know that one.
You have to be a racist historian to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get the racism stuff, specifically with the Mexican kid, I think, in this one. In the book. That
was the first taste you get.
Yeah, and you get that in the book, but it's not this like, I think that maybe they said it in the 50s to like soften that and be like, well, people were racist back then. We're like, well, but people were also like, I got the feeling it was more in like the 80s when I read the book. Now it's been a couple of years, but I just remember picturing, you know, the main character as more of like a, you know, kind of like Andrew from the Breakfast Club, like Emilio Estevez from the Breakfast Club.
Oh, okay.
More than, you know, fucking wannabe outsider James Franco looking ass motherfucker.
Gross.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is our protagonist is firmly in a knockoff of the Outsiders. He desperately wants to be Pony Boy.
Soda Pop, and he has Switchblade and the whole thing. And it's just like, it's been a few years now since I read the book, but I do not recall that being the aesthetic that I was picturing.
But yeah, they do set the world up early pretty easily of like, we get this scene of just a bunch of kids out on the street in the middle of the night. They're all dressed up for Halloween and they're chasing something. And we don't know what. Eventually we learn it's Sawtooth Jack, and it's this jack-o'-lantern headed freak that they have to stop from getting into the church, which the narration explains, which is, it's always questionable if your film starts with narration or a title crawl to explain the world to you, because then that means they more than likely don't do a good job explaining it throughout the film. Or if they do a good job explaining it, then all that shit at the front becomes redundant and you didn't need it. So it's always a hard balancing act to ever put that shit in there. But yeah, they're chasing Sawtooth Jack because if he reaches the church, something bad happens. And we get this kid, Jim, and he's, you know, the star athlete. We get the sense that, you know, he's like, oh, he's the football player. Everybody loves him. And he runs this thing down, kills it, and then they start ripping its guts out. The children descend upon it like Lord of the Flies.
Ravenously.
Yeah.
Just like,
And they start ripping its guts out, and its guts are just candy. And they start ripping a whole bunch of candy, and their faces are covered in like gray chocolate. And it's harrowing because these kids look fucking insane as they're going about it. But, you know, okay, you get that and you understand it. And then they're like, 1 year later. And we're introduced to this kid who is Jim's brother. And he is just straight up bullied, which makes no fucking sense.
No.
Like it makes no sense.
Because Jim was top of the food chain back.
Yeah. Yeah, it was literally just last year that a whole bunch of kids were chanting, "Jim's the winner, Jim's the winner."
Yep.
Which for some reason, as I was watching it on my phone, sounded like Jizz Alarm.
Oh, I quoted as, "What are they saying?" I couldn't tell.
I literally turned the closed captioning on because I couldn't tell. They were chanting "Jim's the winner," but it sounded like they said "Jizz Alarm," and I'm like, "What the fuck, Jizz Alarm?"
Jizz Alarm.
But it makes no sense that 1 year later, Richie, the kid,
bottom of the food chain now.
Yeah, just bottom of the food chain. Like, even if he is in the gang, he's just like, everybody's picking on him. Everybody hates him.
Well, I think that's what they did is like the greasers are like the outsiders and the jocks are the popular kids. And his brother was a jock, but he's a greaser.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't live up to his brother's standards because he's not the all-American kid. He's kind of bad kid on the other side of the tracks kind of guy. He's and also there's a degree of like jealousy too, I think.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He gets kind of mad that his brother doesn't take him with him. He wants to get out of this town and he doesn't understand how all this works.
Yeah.
Well, really no one does at this point.
No one fully understands it. And there is the jealousy of once you're declared the winner, your family actually literally gets an upgrade. And like you get the move to the not poor side of town. You get to be rich and you just basically live, in luxury now because you had the one good kid. So it kind of makes sense that like the jocks are, it still doesn't make sense that the jocks bully Richie because the supposition is that Richie can't participate in this year's run for Sawtooth. So they should just be cool with him. They should be like, oh yeah, well, hey, Richie's rich now. And then we get to hang out with the rich kid who won. But now this year's my year. And then I'm going to be more rich than rich. I don't know.
So fix my family.
The kid, like the book obviously is able to take a lot longer to build up the whole like lore and culture around the run and how people feel about it and how the boys feel about it. And it's much more of like a burden rite of passage manhood type of thing.
Sure.
In the book.
Sure.
And whereas and there's like there's a degree of like, oh, you don't have to do it in the book, if I remember. Like, oh, you're lucky you don't have to do it because your brother is good, but like you're a piece of shit. So like he does get bullied in the book, but the fact that he shows up to that like assembly and wants to do it in this book, like the whole school, I think, is like at the assembly in the book, if I'm not mistaken. So they're just really, it's just symptomatic of trying to condense maybe a too literal telling of the book down a little bit. You know what I mean? Not that they stick that close to it or too literal with it, but I just feel like it's symptomatic of so many movies that I can think of that are like movie versions of novels. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, and like my history isn't good enough to remember this, but like is the whole thing kind of with it being set in the 50s, and at one point there's the kids who are kind of conscientious objectors, and they get called they get called pinkos by the jocks. Like, is this supposed to be some sort of allegory for the Vietnam or Korean War
and the draft and everything?
Yeah, because it would have. Is there something in the draft from the 70s where if one of your family members got drafted, they wouldn't take the second child?
I don't know if it's that or not, or if it's just like, hey, people who had obviously wealth could just kind of buy their way out of the draft. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or just end up with, if your family had connections, you just ended up in a cushy job kind of thing. But yes, I mean, it's undoubtedly an allegory of like all the young men going to war and the institution in place. In this case, like the guild, what do they call it, the Harvesters Guild, and the cops really like gassing them up to get psyched about it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're doing their duty and just sending them to the slaughter kind of thing, you know. So it absolutely is like a I don't know if it's specifically Vietnam or just allegory for like war in the draft and stuff like that, but it's even more apparent in the book, as you might imagine. But
yeah, and I think that's I think that's just why they tried to set it back in the 50s to give it that tie to like the Korean Wars, the war that would have been at that time. Is just maybe make it seem more like that. Whereas like if it was set in the 80s, like that you remember, there wasn't necessarily a conflict going on at that time that people could easily associate with. Like nobody was getting drafted to go to Grenada. That was just the CIA fucking around. So
it might have been set in an earlier time, and I'm not remembering it. But
sure,
it didn't feel as apparent that it was supposed to be mid-century. I mean, with this movie, there was a lot of liberties that the filmmakers took, so that's why I didn't question that it was set a little further back. Like, I don't know if you picked up, like, the town that they live in is called Bradbury.
Oh, yeah.
Named after Ray Bradbury.
Mm-hmm.
But
Jeez.
I don't even think the town had a name in the original book. It certainly wasn't called Bradbury.
Right. Yeah, that would have been such a... This film is a bunch of references that none of them quite gel or congeal in a...
The Misfits one, I'm excited to talk about that because that makes less than no fucking sense.
Yeah, it doesn't gel in a meaningful way. But yeah, I just want to go over a couple other characters we get introduced to. We get introduced to this really intense fucking cop who...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The most intense.
I like him. He's doing acting.
Yes, he is.
He's the character's name is Officer Jerry Ricks, and he's played by Luke Kirby. I don't really recognize him from anything else. He seems to play a lot of not genre films for the most part. Like he was in The Marvelous Miss Maisel. So like, yeah, so he's
great show.
Like, yeah, he does good stuff, but he doesn't usually do this. But he's fucking insane. I like that. Richie's parents
and that's
are
the
also
character in the book. Like he's like terrifying. Like he's the scary part of the book.
Sure.
Like Sawtooth in the book is more like, it's almost like they're trying to catch him. Rather than Sawtooth attacking people and killing people. Like people die as a result of the run, but not, this is like the Purge with a monster on the loose.
Yeah.
In the book, Sawtooth is trying to escape almost exclusively. He's not like he's a scary monster, but he's not like a vicious killing machine like he is
he's scared
in this.
Yeah.
He's scared and everyone's trying to get him. And the person that you're scared of in the book are the cops,
which
specifically Rick's.
Which again, that's kind of what I felt like this movie was supposed to be doing, but because of all the violence and like the extreme amount of violence he commits, it makes the character of Sawtooth Jack like not likable. It undercuts what is revealed about him. And it doesn't. It ruins what, again, this aesthetic of the 50s. It makes a lot of sense that you whip up a mob and you go chasing down somebody who is different from you in the 50s. That's what people did. You get whipped up into a fervor and the authority lets it happen. And the authority encourages it, and they turn a blind eye to all the brutality that goes on because you're chasing communists or blacks or whatever it is in the 50s.
Yeah.
But when you make that character actually incredibly violent and he attacks the conscientious non-objectors, it's like, what are you fucking doing?
He doesn't. That is not what Sawtooth is in the book.
Yeah, like, sure, the visual of him blowing up that bunker and just like the giant geyser, that's a cool fucking visual. That's a cool 30 Days of Night visual. That's a cool.
It doesn't. But what did he do to make that much blood volcano out of the
Who
cellar?
fucking cares? He fucking grabbed them all up and squeezed them like a ketchup packet.
That's the only possible thing.
And you've got people running after him in the cornfield, just getting their heads cut off.
Yeah.
By nothing.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is. If it's him, if it's corn, or what.
See, that
they
one
just die.
That one could have been okay because it could have just been like another scarecrow with a scythe that was just like that was just setting out, and it was an accidental. It was an accidental death that they would have blamed Sawtooth Jack for, and they go, look,
like
he killed one of our boys. Let's go get him. So like again, that makes sense. But when he squeezes 30 people into a ketchup pack squeeze off, TikTok video, that ruins the character. So two other characters I wanted to bring up was Richie's parents. One is played by Elizabeth Reeser. She was in the Twilight films, and obviously the director David Slade directed one, so that's where she comes from. The other is his dad, Jeremy Davies, who plays Dan Shepard, and fans of the show will recognize him as Private Toffler from Ravenous. He's one of the very meek, just kind of...
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the meek, early Eaton guys. I believe he's the guy who fucking wakes up in the middle of the night and is screaming that Ives was eating him or licking me. He was licking me.
Licking me. Yeah.
So I do like Jeremy Davies in this movie. He gives a performance that is Martin McFly's dad if he stayed a fucking loser the whole time.
Grown up Crispin Glover.
Yeah. If he just stayed the fucking loser the entire time. He has an okay arc, I guess. It's he ultimately is still like a fucking I guess so. The parents, I mean, so much of this movie is like borderline cartoonish with the character, like the character stereotypes. The parents are full on cartoons. Absolutely. Like we're talking about the dad being loser Crispin Glover, but the mom is also just fucking pillhead mom. Like just Daffy Casserole, fucking Black Beauty pilled up mom. And she's constantly crying, but like she's not sad. Her eyes are just wet and crying because she can't show actual emotions, but her body physically has to.
That's why it just felt so different than what I expected, because I think in the book everything is more hey, this is just like a Midwestern town where people don't talk about stuff and it's the way everything has always been, so that's the way it is. So like the whole vibe of the guild is very more like this is a ritual and a tradition and less of like this whole civic thing. So to see the parents and like the people around town like acting out in this like childish ways, like everything is more like hush hush, shut up, we don't talk about things. You know what I mean? In the book, and everything in this movie, like it feels more I don't want to say conspiracy-ish, but like this is just something that happens and we don't necessarily talk about it as much, kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas in this, everybody's just like, hey, we live in a fucking fantasy world, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a lot of this film is just basically building up to the night of the run. It just goes back and forth repeatedly of like, Richie's like, I'm going to do the run. And everybody's like, don't do the run. You can't do the run. I'm going to do the run. And he's, fighting with the bullies, fighting with the parents. Ultimately, of course, he does the run.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember in the book, like the more I try to remember, I don't even know that the whole you're exempt from the run because your brother won it was a thing. I don't think that was it. I think the plan was to do the run the whole time, but he kind of didn't want to. But it was all this pressure of like, this is how you be a man and all this stuff. Again, it's been a little bit of time, but yeah, this plot element of am I going to do the run? Am I not going to do the run? Yeah, you know you're going to fucking do it. As moviegoers, we all know you're going to do it. So like that you're not. There's no suspense from that decision for us.
But in the movie plot, like there would be, as far as he knows, his brother's out there having a great time. It would, understandably, it makes no sense to him why he can't go do the run.
Yeah.
You know, you got your family a bunch of money and you got a Corvette and now you're out having a good time. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. He has suspicions, and like after being told like by a bunch of people he can't do the run, well, he says, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to leave town. And then you can't do that either though. Like, so the cop stops him at the border of the town and like, you're right, brings him back. And then he also finds a very telling note that is a little too convenient, because it's right at the time that he has all these doubts and is looking to leave. And the note's like, well, hey there, little brother, I'm having the best time out there, but you can't come out just yet. So you stay there and I'll come visit soon. And then
and I kind of wish I would have listened to what a mom and dad said.
Yeah. Always listen to your parents and say prayers at night as well, because that really helps me while I'm on the road on my own, being a big success. So
yeah, again, this is a teeny bopper movie. Like they wanted it to, you know, they were going for a certain demographic, and the dialogue is kind of rough in times as a result. One of my favorite lines was like, they're talking about the girl he has a crush on, who just seems entirely normal. It's not like she's out like, you know, selling drugs out behind the you know, dumpster. She's like working at the movie theater, very like pretty, put together, wearing a nice dress and everything. And the friend's like, she's bad news. She burned down Farmer Bagley's barn. And the other kid goes, the one we used to throw rocks at? I don't know why that line really killed me. What were you guys throwing rocks at a barn for? Like, what the fuck?
Fuck that barn.
What the fuck else do they have to do?
You mean that rock? You mean that barn we used to throw rocks at? And I just kept thinking throughout the movie that kid should pop up. And anytime they talk about just like any noun, like, well, did you see that bird? Was that bird we used to throw rocks at?
Was that the bird with which we threw the rocks at?
You remember when we had rocks that one time and we threw it at that car? That was awesome.
You remember when we threw those rocks at that bigger rock?
Remember when we had a big rock, we broke into a bunch of smaller rocks, and then we threw it at another big rock, and we were like, whoa.
We had infinite rock cheat that day.
Oh my God, there was like fucking crazy amount of rock.
So about half hour into the film, we get this scene where all the parents lock the kids in their rooms. I guess they all got sent to bed without dinner. And we see the kids.
This is like part of the prep for the run.
Yeah.
And they did such a bad job of communicating. In the book, it's like that's part of the ritual.
Such a bad job.
You lock them in their rooms so they get like delirious and they get all fucking
for 3 days
and mad. Yeah, that's part of the book, but like this whole idea of like them going like, let me out, like that wasn't. It was almost like you go get your mind right and get good and hungry and pissed and get ready to go out and fuck stuff up. Like it was this very machismo thing in the book, and this is like
you're grounded. You don't know why.
I'm gonna lock you in the room like against your will, and you're gonna cry and stuff on the other side. And that's just not what it was like in the book at all.
Yeah, it also just doesn't make sense that they get all upset knowing that they know why they're doing it.
This happens every year.
Yeah. So you know it's
actually you're right.
Locked in the rooms.
It's acting like this is the first time you guys have seen this happen, and it's like no, this happens every year.
Yeah. I don't know. Just it doesn't make sense. Like if there was a lock in, and if it was a thing that the kids didn't know about, and it's like the night before or 3 nights before or whatever, and they came to the houses of all the 18-year-old young men and whisked them out of their beds and then took them to a facility and, I'll lock them away in a barn or a warehouse or whatever, and then let them get all gassed up inside of tiny holding cells as they're all just just getting riled up and getting ready to go. And then open the doors like a fucking horse race, and they just come piling out, just screaming and carrying on. Okay, that makes sense. They're not prepared for that.
I like that way better.
But
yeah, they did not capture the vibe well at all of this of the whole prep for the run.
Nope. But we, Richie, he breaks out of the house and, he joins his buddies in the bandit clan, and they all jump in a rusty ass pickup truck, and they're going to go cheat. They're going to be the first ones to find Sawtooth Jack. And his friend Soda Pop has a bunch of curiously looking skull masks that he hands out to his friends.
They're literally trademarked, straight up Crimson Ghost masks.
Yeah,
from the Misfits logo, the one you see on their t-shirts.
Yeah, it's the Misfits fiend face. And as they're going down the highway to the cornfield, I about fucking just flipped my desk watching this movie, because the kid takes the leader, Soda Pop, takes his mask down, and he says, "Come with me to the violent world." And I said,
no, he literally says, "Come on to a violent world with me."
Yeah, whatever it is, he specifically quotes,
which is just not a thing people say.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they picked a lyric that is an unnatural speech pattern.
Right, yeah. Whatever it is, he directly quotes the Misfits song "Violent World," and I said, "You motherfuckers!"
Yeah, it's such a strange one to quote. There's a million Misfits songs, right, that could have been applicable, and there's lines that are much more conversational that could be a line you would say in conversation. But he says, "Come on to a violent world with me." And it's why would you say that if it wasn't a lyric? The only thing I do want to look, which I didn't, because all the Misfits songs are based on, they're all based on horror movies, right? Some of them are literally named Astro Zombies and shit like that, right? Night of the Living Dead. Yeah, I wonder if this was a line from a movie. Because a lot of them are based on 50s sci-fi movies.
Right.
Not that I'm aware of, certainly not one that I'm aware of, but that was the only leniency I was willing to give, and I meant to look it up and forgot. But yeah. I literally was just like, oy, oy, oy.
Yeah. Boyga boyga.
Yeah. And then later on, there's another one where, what does he say? Somebody who left town.
Yeah. There's a bunch of kids. There's a bunch of kids just walking down the street, just bullshitting, and they're talking about past winners. And the one kid says, "Well, I heard he lives in New Jersey and started a rock band, and he has a fucking album coming out called Teenagers from Mars." I was like, "You scum fucks, what are you doing? What is this? What are we doing?"
Now what are we doing is a great question. But now at this point, I was like, okay, so are they talking about Glenn Danzig?
Yeah.
At this point, I was like, so is Glenn Danzig part of the larger Dark Harvest universe? Did Glenn Danzig wrestle at Bradbury High? Did
Glenn Danzig
slurp some gabagool behind the school?
Did Glenn Danzig wrestle Sawtooth Jack?
You think Glenn Danzig won the run and then he got out? Then he was the only one to escape? So weird and so out of place, and I don't get the writers, I guess. I don't know if they thought they were being clever or I don't know. It just reeks of, I don't know, something a 14-year-old me would do.
Mhm.
Like, just like a real fucking douchebag, just like thinking he's cool, like a 13, 14, 15-year-old, just like thinking he's being real artsy. Name the kid, and I unabashedly still like the Misfits, and I love Ray Bradbury, but like, you don't have to tell your audience, here's all the things I like.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Here's the things I'm fans of. Hey, everybody.
I like these things, and I think they're cool, and I hope you agree. And then some of that makes you think that I'm cool and you like me.
I think maybe we do have to remember, though, that, again, this film isn't necessarily for us. This film is...
It is not.
It's for the 14 to 22-year-old crowd. And perhaps none of these references land with that crowd.
Sure.
Perhaps. I'm willing to give that leniency, but still, it is too obvious.
It's too on the nose. I will give you a reference that 14 to 22-year-olds will not get, is that the dad looks very much like Artie, the strongest man in the world. Does he not kind of look like him?
That. Who is that?
I mean, it looks a little...
Pete and Pete.
Yeah.
You ever watch Pete and Pete?
Yeah.
Artie, the strongest man in the world. Little Pete's best friend. Artie.
Yeah. Artie, the strongest man in the world.
Love that character.
Who actually is the dad in the Halloween David Gordon Green movie. So,
yeah, I remember I was trying to make a connection there. But.
Yeah. Good old Toby Huss. Yeah. So, look, they go on the run. You get a bunch of just wild ass teens running in the streets. They are harassing a butcher shop owner for meat.
Boy.
They need the meat. The kids got to have the meat
because they're so hungry.
But then they're like, it was cake. Didn't they jump in and start eating cake through the window or whatever?
I thought it was meat, but yeah, either way.
He might have been a butcher, but the window they break and start eating, they're like, oh, glass covered cake. Yum, 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 yum. Like, guys, you saw that cake in the window and we're like, let's break the glass onto it so I can eat it.
Let me eat glass.
Dumbass. I'm a dumb. Hey, Glenn, can we eat this cake? Does it have any glass on it?
Just got a bit of glass.
This is a violent world. Come along with me to it and we'll eat glass.
Yeah. So it's stupid.
So that is a climactic scene in the book, is the when the kids start to go a little crazy. Obviously the run's way drawn out and there's all this anxiety that builds up as they can't find him and they can't kill him going up to midnight, and the kids are all hungry or whatever. So there is like this climactic scene of like, what do we value our kids over, or what do we value over our kids? Like our way of life, and the Harvest Guild, is going to ensure that we're going to, there's this black magic cursed on the town, and the only way that they can overcome the curse kind of is like to do a sacrifice every year and all this stuff and do the run. So this whole big climactic thing, they're like protecting their way of life over the kids, and the whole shop owner with a gun thing is like there's a version of that's a classic take on there's a climactic scene in the book, and this is just thrust in there and rushed without any context and just makes everything feel like The Purge.
It makes it feel like The Purge, and it does that thing like I'm assuming the book gets into the idea, like you're saying, of like, we value the youth over everything else, and we need to let them be as insane and deadly, and if a shop owner dies, it's collateral for the greater good.
No, it's actually the opposite. It's almost the opposite. Okay. It's like they're willing to throw their kids at the problem.
Oh, okay.
Because this is just how it always has been.
Yeah.
So that's like the analogy for war is like, we want to keep our gas prices down, so we'll throw our children to the wolves of war, and just go throw them to be human target practice in Vietnam or whatever, just because we want to continue to eat hot dogs and light sparklers on the 4th of July or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole mentality. And I think it culminates in this whole idea of like the kids start to be like destructive, of course, because you riled them all up and sent them out to murder something. And then they start being destructive is the word I was trying to say. Jesus. And then And then, it's like, well, now we got to stand our ground and protect our properties from these crazy kids. And it's like, you fucking did this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you started.
All right. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, because I was seeing it more through the lens of like, yeah, you sent all these kids to war and you got them all riled up, but now, yeah, I see it through the context of the movie. The shop owner just looks like a casualty, like a civilian casualty of like you whipped up this fervor, and now like innocent people are going to die in service of killing Sawtooth Jack as well. So like he'll when they're sweeping the streets the next morning after Sawtooth Jack's death, he's just going to get written off with the rest of the kids that were chewed up in the machine. Like, it's all forgotten about. And hopefully this is the problem with it being a small town and it occurring every year, is like people will have a memory of that. Whereas a lot of these type of, stories and films, they always have like a longer generational period of like
15, 20 years,
exactly
50 years, 100
yeah, exactly. So there aren't enough people to remember the last time, or everybody who does remember the last time doesn't pass on the nitty gritty of like, oh yeah, we fucking like we saw a baby thrown against the sidewalk. Don't tell them that part.
Yeah, it's in the book. It's way more controlled and hush hush. Like the Harvesters Guild, the cops, like they very like tightly control things, and they have to have the kids do it. The kids got to go do this because that's part of the deal. That's part of the ritual. That's part of how they overcome the curse. But it's very like facilitated. It almost feels like a dog fight. You know what I mean? But town wide. This movie makes it seem like it's just every man for themselves, and you fucking go and purge. And if 100 people die, that's just how it goes. Like, that's really not the vibe in the book.
So it sounds the book is more like either a fox hunt or a steeplechase, where they send the dogs to chase a rabbit.
Yes, 100%. That's a great analogy. That's exactly what it feels like. In comparison to this, is just chaos in the streets, and you're sweeping up bodies the next morning. Like, that's not the feel of the book.
Okay, yeah. So that makes more sense. That like in the book, they actually would be like breaking a lot of protocol when they attack the shopkeeper. Where
very much so. The stakes were super high at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So that's basically what's going on. We have chaos in the streets from the kids. We have chaos in the streets because of Sawtooth Jack. Nothing is adding up very well because the movie isn't adding up very well. But we do eventually get a confrontation between Richie and Sawtooth Jack, and there is a connection because Richie and Sawtooth Jack happen to have the same belt. SpaghettiOs. What could this mean? Does this mean something? And honestly, I was ahead of this film like already. I don't know why, but it just seems so obvious that like the winner is also just gets turned into him. Like it just makes sense. Like
I didn't get that at all. Dang it!
It's how these stories go. It's always a sacrifice, and it's like there's never a good winner. And I think it's when he was reading that shit ass note that is clearly
they make it super obvious. Yeah. Well, it's easy for me to say. Obviously, I read the book and knew, but there is so much less about the brother. And all that stuff that they drop you all these hints in the movie, it's less that in the movie. I to be honest with you, I can't remember if it felt obvious and I knew saw it coming in the book or not, but I know they didn't really delve into it and drop you a lot of hints like they did in this.
Yeah. But yeah, it felt super obvious as soon as he was reading that letter, because it didn't sound like a kid. It didn't sound like his brother. It didn't sound like somebody who actually won. It sounded like a cover up, to just hide the fact that, oh yeah, he's actually dead or became the new Sawtooth Jack or whatever it is. That's just what happens in the sacrifice. That's why one person is declared the winner despite everybody taking part in the feast as they feast upon the body. So yeah, it just,
Sawtooth is just not nearly as big of a part of the book until the very end,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about building up to the run and all that sort of thing. Like, it's not nearly as much like they make Sawtooth a big part of this movie because they needed a monster. They're selling a monster movie, you know?
Right.
And he's not there as much. They also do the whole thing about like how like Sawtooth, they start by like, eventually you learn why the candy's in there, because they like sew candy up into like the corpse. It's like a little more brutal, as like the ritual is a little bit more brutal, which is funny because they were not shying away from brutal violence in this movie, but they didn't explain why the candy is inside Sawtooth Jack either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is the reason? Like, they do show that farmer character stuffing candy in the corpse.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But they don't explain why they do it.
It's just part of the ritual.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there's not much more explanation than that. I must have missed that part. I wasn't paying attention. But yes, that is what that's all it is. They don't really get into the ritual, but they just know that the town is cursed, and this is the only way that they have to like appease whatever this curse is every year, and it's all around Halloween. And yeah, you got to sew up some dang old candy inside the corpse and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, they show like in the early scenes of the farmer like prepping the jack-o'-lantern and stuffing the body full of candy, but like, yeah, it's never explained, so whatever. But yeah, the one confrontation leads to Richie asking more questions and becoming more disillusioned. He confronts his own father, and his father confirms his suspicions, like, oh yes, Jim is Sawtooth Jack now. And so, Richie decides he's going to try to buck the system and get his brother across the finish line and into the church. But before he can, the cop has made sure that enough people are armed. He arms the main bully with a gun, and he shoots down Sawtooth Jack. And this scene doesn't play out. Neither this scene or the final scene play out in ways that are usual, but they also don't play out in ways that feel good, because the bully, who has been just like Richie's main antagonist this entire time, gets away with shooting Richie's brother, and Richie doesn't pull the trigger on the bully. Instead, Sawtooth Jack grabs the gun and puts it to his own head and makes his brother execute him, which, okay. Like, he just, it kind of makes sense. He's like, because he just would rather die, but he also knows what happens next if Richie is the winner. So,
right. Fuck.
Yeah. He knows.
God damn it.
Yeah, he knows what he's condemning his brother to by making him kill him, rather than if he let the bully kill him, then Richie could just be happy. Like, he would be saving Richie, and
so
the bully would unknowingly condemn himself to becoming the next Sawtooth Jack.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember exactly. I do not remember the end of the book. I almost want to like read the last few chapters again, because I don't remember what happens. I was almost wondering if I recall that it was like the dad ends up like ultimately killing him or something. I don't remember, but I do remember like the dad being a bigger part of it.
Yeah.
In the book. And I remember it feeling like there was a little bit of a similarity there with the whole like the book feels a bit of like Something Wicked This Way Comes, with like the dad kind of like reliving his childhood, or like being nostalgic for his childhood and the run and all that stuff. I almost want to read the last couple chapters because I don't remember, but I do not think it plays out like it did in this movie, because I remember thinking like, it just didn't make any sense. And I don't remember the ending of the book just being completely nonsensical like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and the ending continues this way of like being somewhat nonsensical in that. So Richie gets the big prize, right? And then they do all the pomp and circumstance with the midnight dance, and then they give him his Corvette prize, and he's supposed to drive off, into the world in his new Corvette. In doing so, he actually picks up his girlfriend on his way out of town, which is the new wrinkle. Like I guess at this point we've never had somebody else in the car leaving town. It's always been the big hero send off, and he goes off on his own. So Richie goes off. He has his girlfriend. They're all going to leave town. And then there's the big combine in the middle of the road, which I guess there's only one road out of town. Usually with these Midwest.
Seems like there could be two.
Yeah. Usually with these Midwest towns, you actually can go any of the 4 cardinal directions, because there's they literally have nothing else going on other than a 4-way stop.
Nope. Just a road.
But yeah, combine. And then Richie gets out and he's, has a confrontation with the cop, and the cop gets shot, and the cop won't tell him anything because the cop actually doesn't know anything, because they didn't actually write anything coherent for the cop to say. So he just executes the cop in the cornfield, but then gets brained with a shovel and falls into the grave that was already dug for him by the farmer. And this is where it sucks again, because we're expecting the girlfriend, who is in the Corvette this entire time, to come and save Richie at some point. That's why you set that up, is so she can come save him. And then she doesn't.
That's what I was expecting to happen. But no, she leaves. She's gone.
Yeah, she just meets with the dad, cries about it, and then leaves.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. That was it. That's not what we usually expect. We usually expect, the girlfriend to come and save the day and save him from his fate, because that's supposed to be the power of love that comes through in all these dumb fucking movies, is that he gave up the hero's journey. He gave up the standard that everybody else is tied to. He gave up the toxic masculinity and found love with somebody who wasn't approved by, the town, because she's black. They all hated her. So you're expecting, oh yes, he goes off and, lives in a different way from everybody else he knows. He finally escapes the town. Nope. Brained with a shovel, buried alive. Girlfriend doesn't save him. She fucking ditches.
He's Sawtooth.
Yeah. And then that's basically the end. There is a post-credit scene that assumedly occurs 1 year later, as they prep. The farmer comes and preps Richie's body to become new Sawjack, and he fucking puts the jack-o'-lantern on his head and puts the body up on the cross and stuffs it full of candy, and then you get a time lapse of it going from a kid's corpse into the new Sawtooth. And as it's ready to come down, the father shows up and cuts the body down, and then the farmer shows up and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the father stabs the farmer in the head. And as Sawtooth awakens, he tells him to burn it all down. And it's like, well, now we're in Pumpkinhead territory, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's a little bit how the how the book goes, I guess. I'm trying to look up a plot synopsis, but I just saw a couple highlights which jogged my memory a little bit. But essentially, Sawtooth ends up winning, and the boys, not just Richie, some of the boys turn on the law, turn on the cop, and ultimately, I can't remember if the kids kill the cop or Sawtooth, which I forgot. They call Sawtooth. I mean, they call him Sawtooth Jack, but they also call him the October Boy. That's that's kind of what the, Sawtooth Jack is a slang term kind of thing. Anyway, and the dad, I think the dad ends up killing himself. And then I'm trying to remember the dynamic between the brothers, because I'm I almost feel like it was a totally different dynamic with the brothers. But ultimately, Sawtooth Jack burns down the church, like wins the ritual and burns down the church.
Sure.
And then that's like like the curse is over, or maybe it's not, but like you guys are like, your town's fucked. You just got to scat, like the town people just scatter.
Get out of
basically.
here.
Yeah. That's like the end of that's the end of the book, I think. So the fact that he did like say like burn it or whatever, I think is a nod to the book.
Sure.
But it is a completely different ending.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sure. It sounds like they just did a really fucking bad adaptation of that book. Like the book does sound better, and that makes a lot of sense if your whole structure of the film is about preservation of tradition and ritual, even against
and like the way of life and like commercial success and I guess commercials, but like financial stability over literally your children.
Right. But if all of that is in service, or if all of that is done through, bloodshed and like, violence, like you have to give that way of life up. It's uncivilized. It's monstrous.
Yeah.
And so the symbolism of burning down the church, which is usually the main stalwart of small towns like this, that, they all go to the church for refuge and advice and like, oh, what do we do now? Like then you burn it down and you force them to live their lives without the church, without the ritual, without, like find a new way. So, they could have made this film better. It's okay as it is. The gore, while cool, doesn't make sense. So, I don't know. It's an easy watch. You can pop it on in the background. It's not going to harm you, but you're not going to I don't think anybody's fallen in love with this movie.
Yeah, there's some fun shots.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty to look at times for sure. I think they do a good job with like the lighting effects, and they do, there's a particular shot where I forget who the girl even is, but it's like the girl who's like smoking the cigarette, and he's like sitting on the step of like that like rundown house in the background, and like the moon's kind of behind it, so it's like backlit by the moon, or maybe it's a street light. But I just remember that was a cool scene, cool shot specifically. I think
because the director, has a pretty decent pedigree. Like he directed 30 Days a Night and the film Hard Candy. If you guys remember that. Yeah. Like he directed both. Yeah. He directed both of those. He also comes from like a long line of music videos. So he knows how to make shit look good. Like I would argue this film looks better than Halloween 2. Halloween 2 is too dark at sometimes. And
hey, watch it. Hey,
the shaky cam at times. Like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to be doing all that.
Yeah. But the story is just a caca.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of caca.
It's a little caca. Well, all right. I'm interested to see. I mean, I think it's gonna all. Well, let's wait. Let's not jump to conclusions here, guys. So this is how this works for those of y'all who are new. Here's how this works. We each, first of all, decide what our primary vote is going to be. Do we vote for our own movie? Now, typically speaking, in our normal Showdown episodes where we all pick the movie that we're going to talk about, it is presumed that you will probably pick your own movie because you chose it. Not always the case, but typically speaking, we all pick our own movie. Now, in this particular instance, we did not pick our own movie, so there might be an instance where somebody doesn't pick their own movie as their primary choice. If we all pick our own movie for our primary choice, then we go to our second pick, and then the second pick is oftentimes what determines what movie is going to reign supreme. All right, Ben. So you chose the order in which we discuss the movies. It is also your choice to determine the order in which we vote on the movies. So how do you want this to go down?
I will do I'll go first. Brian goes last.
Okay.
I go
So
second.
Steve's going in the middle.
Everyone else in the middle.
All right. So what is your first pick of these three movies?
And with no bias, as you mentioned before, we did not pick this. We were assigned movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stick with my original. I'm gonna go with Halloween 2. That had the most of what I enjoyed. I think we had a great discussion about it. Granted, there was a lot of silliness in all of the shit that we talked about tonight, and there was the least amount of silliness in mine. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Halloween 2 from me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you're welcome. And thank you for being such a gentleman. Steven, what are you gonna vote? How are you gonna vote on this?
I'm going to vote solely on the fact that this was the first time that I'd seen Dark Harvest, and I feel like not a lot of other people have seen Dark Harvest, whereas there's 15 Halloween films, and you can cobble together a general sense of what all that is, but you only need to watch one Halloween film, which is the first one. So with that in mind, I still don't love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I think there's a lot of good things in it. If you're already indoctrinated into the Halloween cult, you can find a lot of fun things there. If you haven't seen it in a while, it's worth watching again because of all the people who stars past and new stars present. It's kind of fun to see all those people come about. But I think Dark Harvest offers some cooler shots. There's some things worth exploring this movie just to see it happen. I think the blood bunker is fucking amazing. Like, it's my favorite. It's even though I love all the brutality in Halloween 2, it's my favorite thing across all three movies right now.
Yeah. It's hilarious because it is so far from anything that would have happened in the book.
Yeah.
And up until that point, there wasn't. I mean, he had just ripped someone's like jaw apart. So you're like, whoa, this is not what the October Boy does.
Yeah.
But also the comic nature of the blood volcano. I was just like, the balls on these guys.
Yeah. It fucking rules. It's so crazy. And I mean, we do love Danzig. Like, we make fun of Danzig, but we also love Danzig. So, you know, hey, I don't know. You just got to put it in there. Like, Violent World does appear in the credits. You just got to, I don't know, go with it. So I am going to, on the pure newness, recency bias of Dark Harvest, it gets my first vote.
Fair.
It gets my first vote.
I guess.
All right. So this is going to be one of those unique situations where I didn't pick this movie, and the movie that Baron von Laugho's Halloween sing along or whatever the fuck it was, I don't know. I'm not. I cannot in good faith pick it. It's bad. It's quite bad.
Okay.
It had some redeeming qualities, whatever. But ultimately, so this is one of those rare occurrences where one individual is going to determine the winner. And in this instance, that person is me, because I ain't picking my movie. And I lost. So I'm basically picking between you guys, and whoever I pick wins. If you would have spun first and somebody pulled Halloween 2, I would have been like, ooh, that's a tough situation to be in. But I know what else is on that wheel. I know that there's Halloween Puppy Adventures and things of that nature on that wheel.
Yeah.
So when you picked Dark Harvest, Steve, I was like, oh, you might have a, like, you know, I at first I was like, Ben's not going to have a chance, you know. But then I don't know. Whenever I pulled that, I guess I just expected more out of Dark Harvest is ultimately what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
I think it was just kind of sloppy, and the kind of teeny bopper angle to it. It just felt like a not particularly nuanced or I guess fresh feeling take on Pumpkinhead or something. Like,
right.
The whole the coolness of this story is all about the run and, you know, turning the kids into the monsters and stuff. And in this thing, it just turned into a monster movie where kids got locked outside and got hunted by a monster. And it's just not at all what the story was. Maybe if I wouldn't have read the book, I would have liked it more, but actually I don't think so, because nothing really stood out in a significant way for me. For me, the thing that's always going to be the tiebreaker is, was it memorable? Is it unique? Did it stick with me? And nothing from Dark Harvest, I will not remember anything about this movie.
Blood Geyser.
Maybe Blood Geyser.
Blood Geyser.
But like the viciousness of like the violence in Halloween 2, and even some of the dumb dialogue and stuff, like, and that Halloween party scene, like, there's just some things that are going to stick with you about it. And like I said, it's not even the worst in the franchise by a long shot. It has some parts that are difficult to get through, but overall, I think it's much more solid than people give it credit for. So all this being said, I'm going with Halloween 2. So for the second month in a row, and for the Super Bowl, the WrestleMania of our podcast, which is of course the October Showdown.
The July Showdown.
Not July.
I have not eaten anything, and I've drank 4 beers here.
Nice.
The October Showdown. We are gonna lose, and our guest is going to win. So congratulations, Ben. The October Showdown.
Thank you. I can't. I'm honored to win tonight. I'm super excited to win because that means I get to pick the punishment episode, which is 1,000% going to be Bigfoot based, and 1,000% I'm going to be back here to talk to you guys about it, because I'm going to give me a day or two. I have to decide between 3 movies that I want you guys to watch. And, you'll know my verdict, my sentencing soon enough.
Yeah.
But, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
I believe this is Ben's 4th showdown and his first win.
My first. This is I'm taking off work tomorrow. I am drinking the rest of the night. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah. You were about to be like the Buffalo Bills of this podcast.
Yeah.
Pull that one out.
Yeah. I wasn't. If I lost tonight, I was going to be
with
sad,
a shittier spin. You could have been, but like we mentioned, the Wheel O Ween has been cursed by Meg, and I believe she gifted this to you. As
she owed me. Remember, I had to defend her bullshit a long time ago.
She owed you for making you defend Freddy vs. Jason when you didn't want to.
Yep.
So yeah. I think she made good in the afterlife, and now you get to punish us with a Bigfoot film.
Oh, just get ready, guys. It's going to be so old. It's going to be so good. Oh no, this is going to be one part horror, one part historical, one part like National Geographic. Oh, it's going to be great.
The Revenge of Bigfoot's Stinky Dick.
I
can't wait.
Get ready.
All right. Well, boys and ghouls, thanks for joining us. Tune in next week. Next week, we're actually going to talk about Terrifier 3 because it's coming out, and we're going to go watch it. I've been looking forward to that all damn month. But the week after that, Ben will get his revenge, and I'm sure he'll make us watch, Bigfoot's Big Stinky Dick, Part 2, Skunk Ape Cock. I don't know. But
y'all are going to learn so much about North America's hairy hominid, okay? Just get ready. All right? It's going to be education.
That sounds like a slur. Don't say that.
It does. All right, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So keep tuning in all Halloween season long and beyond, because we do this shit all year long. We spooky wooky shit on the internet all damn year long. All right, any final thoughts, guys, before we wrap up this here slobber knocker of a Showdown episode?
I'm sad. This is the first October I've lost.
It's the first October I have won, and it feels so good. I'm so happy I dressed for the occasion. I'm not going to work tomorrow, guys. My night is young, so I'm going to celebrate tonight.
I'm going to Vegas tomorrow. I'm going to get hammered. I'm going to do drugs. So yeah, like I said, I'll maybe I'll see you never again. I might just die in a hole in the desert. Yeah.
Godspeed, brother.
All right. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm the October boy.
I'm the big ween winner, Ben.
Oh, you fucking guys. All right. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.